Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday. It is May. I didn't realize we went back-to-back days in May where we have to reference them as something else.
Cinco de Mayo and Star Wars Day?
Correct.
Ah.
Yeah, we had stormtroopers at our game yesterday in Detroit. And I actually don't know what you call the guys in all black that rode around with Darth Vader. They were kind of like his escorts.
Yeah.
The stormtrooper pilot guys in the all black outfits. They had a couple on him. I don't know what that guy's called. Never took the time to figure that out when I was a kid. But he was running around. Very, very slim build for the Star Wars characters rolling around yesterday. It was a little not very intimidating when you rolled up on them.
Not big on them, huh?
Ford Field. No, that is not big. But yeah, Cinco de Mayo, I guess we all have to go get chips and salsa today. Hopefully they don't charge you for refills. That'll be a ripoff.
On salsa?
Or chips, either one. Never should do that.
I don't know a place that does that.
If you did, it would be a bad business move. How was your weekend?
Great weekend.
Was it?
It was.
It's not often you roll in here on a Monday taking a giant L and saying it was a great weekend.
Yeah, no, it was a good weekend. I felt good about it.
Even though you took that big L?
I'm not sure what L you're referring to.
Let me see the score here quickly. Just one moment. I have to get down to my text messages.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The Stars won. Game 7.
What, Dallas?
Yes.
Well, they shine big at Bright. It looks to me like the third flight
Yes.
was a 2.5, 3.0, 5.0 for a 10.5.
Yes.
Total of a 19.5, trailing a 21.5 by Rob and Brad.
Yes. We did not win our flight. That is accurate. We did beat the team that won our flight, though, in the first match.
Did you win the whole thing?
We did not.
That's an L.
Not an L.
Last time I checked.
Golf tournaments are hard to win.
I didn't say they weren't hard. I just remember you and Mark talking a lot of junk here when we were previewing the Masters about how we're going to member guest going to dominate. And
we felt good about it. We felt good about it going in. It just didn't materialize for us. Game was just a little shaky still.
Who was it on? You or Mark?
I think we both share the blame as a team sport, for sure. Neither one of us had our best stuff, and neither one of us made enough putts to win the flight. But yeah, we didn't play great. But
you let us down. You let the show down. You let the station down. You let Alabama fans down.
Nah.
Yeah. You let us all down. We were hoping for a win. We were hoping to celebrate a dub this morning.
Nah.
Rub it in everybody's faces, and we can't do that.
They'll have to try again later this summer. We got some time. There's a little bit of golf overkill for the last 10 days. So
maybe get some reps in at the next course before you actually go out there and try to compete.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Let's get some of those in.
I would say playing helps.
Probably.
But also playing also hurts. Because I feel like I played a lot the last 2 weeks. And I'm kind of a little golfed out.
How many rounds over the weekend? Like how many rounds?
I did the math last night. I told my wife I've played 207 golf holes in 11 days.
Feels like a lot to me.
That averages out to 18.8 golf holes per day for 11 days. It's too much.
My 5-year-old would say 205 holes of golf in 4 days. Is that a lot to you?
That's a lot. It's a lot.
My back would not be working right now.
No.
Literally. If I tried to do that.
I woke up to work out this morning at 5 and told my wife I've been active enough the last 11 days. You
burned some cows.
I'm gonna give my body a little bit of a rest. A little bit of a reprieve.
What is your Whoop saying right now?
Oh, dude. Steps galore. Just straight steps. Steps all the time.
All the steps. All right, so it's a good weekend then because you got to play golf. So for you, that's a good weekend.
Fun weekend. Got to watch Game 7 with my son on Saturday night. He was losing his mind. It was really, really a lot of fun.
Was that which one was that? Rockets Warriors? No, that was. We
don't watch NBA, so we watch NHL in our house.
Warriors Rockets was Game 7 last night. Correct. The Warriors will advance.
Love that.
At 48-34, they're heading to the second round of the playoffs.
That's great. Glad they are.
Pacers up 1-0. Did you take that one in last night?
No.
No?
Like I said, don't really watch the NBA.
Oh, okay. Well, in
Kind
that
of
case,
not
you would know that
interested.
the Nuggets got past the Clippers in Game 7 also, 120-101. Nuggets will advance.
I saw that they were up by 30. I was going to put that on last night, actually, but they were up by 30.
Nuggets Thunder tonight. That's a big series.
Wait, they played
It
last
starts
night?
at 8:30. My son won't be able to watch any of that.
They're playing back-to-backs?
No, that's Game 1 tonight.
Yeah, but they played Game 7 last night.
No,
Or
it
was
was
that 2 nights ago?
Saturday
Oh,
night.
it was 2 nights ago.
Last night, Game 7 was Warriors-Rockets. Warriors advance. Pacers up 1-0 on the Cavs. Who's your favorite player on the Pacers right now?
Halliburton,
Can you
You
give
name
me
another?
one? Can you give me one more?
Rick Carlisle.
I thought you were going to go Rick Smits for a minute. That'd be great. Can you give me one more?
Reggie Miller.
Just a bit outside.
If he called the game, then he is associated with the team.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So NBA in full swing. I had a
Did
game.
well, congratulations on your game, but
What game?
well, you called a game.
I did. Why do I get made it? Or
Oh no, just the
that I
fact
lived?
that
'Cause you did it.
you acknowledged the kicker.
I did. And I sent Greg the video. And I didn't give him credit for anything. I didn't act like he was good. But I did. I mean, you guys tell me if you've ever seen this before. So I was in Detroit, which, by the way, I was telling Greg for the show, I actually love Detroit. First off, the weather was in the 50s the entire weekend. And after it was like 84 and 86 here last week, it was welcome. Everybody else was complaining how cold it was. I was like, I don't know, guys. I kind of like this. This is actually really nice.
Yes.
I could dig it.
Now, it was raining yesterday on the way out. Not so great. But have you seen? So you had the interview? Okay, well, this is what it sounded like. This is to kick off the entire game. First kickoff of the game, Greg. This is how the broadcast started.
Seen a lot of different things in the UFL, guys. I don't think I've ever seen this in football before. BT Potter's going to kick the football off sideways. What in the world are we doing here?
Yeah, we just like to make it move, make it harder to catch. A lot of times they can't run for it to catch it, so it slows it down just a little bit and like to get the ball on the ground.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bomb it.
All right, so have you seen this? Have you ever seen a kicker place the ball sideways on the tee and kick the ball off?
I have not.
First time I've ever seen it.
I still don't really understand how. I still don't understand like how he
just-
kicks it.
I don't either. He gets it is a super knuckleball when it's going down there. So yeah, it would be very difficult to field. But I also would feel like you wouldn't get near as much hang time.
It also wouldn't go far.
He gets it down there though. I mean, he gets it down there inside the 10.
But hang time is what you want. Maybe with the XFL structure on, or the UFL structure on kickoffs, it's not as the.
I don't think you need as much hang time because everybody's already down there.
Exactly. But I would think that if it's been done before, I would think someone's probably tried it. And I would think that if it was actually successful, it would be being used by NFL kickers. I don't understand what the thought process is here.
I think it's just to make it more difficult to field. Because, I mean, you've seen it like I do now. It's just that you got the one returner usually that's just back there by himself.
Right.
Everybody else is up so they can kind of offset the coverage team, which is down on the 35. So, I mean, you get one good swim move on those guys, and you're face to face with the returner. So, to make that thing kind of move a little bit, you get the one sort of catch, drop, pick up, scoop. I mean, that could save you a pretty big return. So that's why I wanted to do the hit with it. I told our producer, Chris, I was like, I think we got to show people this. I've literally never seen it.
Right.
Yeah. It looks like he's lining up for an onside kick and he literally bombs it down the field. So yeah, we did.
I would think that it's probably pretty tough to field though. Like, I don't think I could do it.
No, it looks weird when it's going down there. Like it would be tough. It'd be a lot harder to field it. So yeah, you get some advantages there. So BT Potter does that. You saw my interview with Toa Tawa, running back out of Nevada, which is just a cool story, man. Like he was washing golf carts 3.5 weeks ago, joins the team on a Tuesday, scores on a Saturday, almost had 100 yards rushing yesterday. We FaceTime his kids in during the game. So that was a pretty cool moment. And Anthony Perkins looks like the best player in the UFL right now. And I'm not sure it's really debatable, to be honest with you.
And he's throwing it well, huh?
He's throwing it extremely well. I mean, he's completing 75% of his passes. Which, how about this? Jordan Teamu going into that game yesterday, he did not play well. Jordan Teamu led the league in total offense, passing yards, second in passing touchdowns. Going into that game yesterday, Greg, and it actually might be worse because that offense did not play well yesterday. He was completing 49.7% of his passes.
Really?
How do you lead your lead in passing at 49.7% completed? Now, a lot of it is not on him. A lot of drops. Coach Keiss has been dialing up the shot plays a little bit more this year, so they've been off on a couple of those.
Yeah.
It's not because he's been erratic. I think it's just been because of some of the passes they've been trying to throw. But a very odd number to have more yards than anybody else, and he was last of qualified passers in completion percentage.
That is wild.
This is strange.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that before. I would think completion percentage would go hand in hand with success and efficiency.
Yeah, not something that you normally would expect to see. So, but yeah, Anthony Perkins is playing out of his mind right now. They get the win yesterday. Stallions bounce back, 26-3 win over San Antonio. San Antonio struggle bus right now. If you have not watched much of them in the UFL this year, season low 178 yards of offense. That not great, not one that you're looking for. So yeah, it's kind of coming into form a little bit. DC goes to 4-2. Now you have St. Louis at 4-2, Birmingham 4-2, Michigan at 4-2. So it looks like that USFL conference, as far as the playoffs, are going to be very similar to last year. We saw Birmingham, Michigan last game of the season, and then they met in the first round of the playoffs. And DC, St. Louis look like, well, I mean, Arlington's at 3-3. Arlington at times has looked really good this year. Louis Perez, not great this weekend, but he has been pretty good for the majority of the season. So there you go. A little bit of UFL update from over the weekend.
Between Memphis and San Antonio, what's the problem? And Memphis is 1-5.
Well, Memphis, you've played, I want to say, 4 quarterbacks this year. And Ken Wisenhunt was out before the season, came back. Now he's out again. Jim Turner takes over. Noel Mazzoni comes in as offensive coordinator last week, middle of the seasan. So they're just, it's discombobulated. Houston actually on a little bit of an uptick here, and they looked like they were going to be miserable early in the season. They may have some things figured out. San Antonio, same deal. I mean, they are, it's just like build a quarterback, like build a bear. It's just a different guy every week. They just throw him out there. And it's just not working. Obviously, head coach has sort of stepped aside. Peyton Pardee trying to get it going, and the defense is not playing well, not playing well at all. And the offense is. I mean, you have AJ Smith's personnel with Peyton Pardee trying to be a little bit more pro style, a little bit more West Coast ish, and they don't have the guys to do it. I mean, they don't, you know how that is. You don't have the bodies.
It looks like they've played based on their strength of schedule, strength of victory. It looks like both San Antonio and Memphis played absolutely atrociously difficult seasons. I mean, looks like up to this point, I mean, just playing really, really tough teams. So that's not an easy place to start. That's for sure.
No, you've seen a little bit of life though from San Antonio. Like 2 weeks ago, it looked like things were going to be okay. Even though it wasn't a win, they played in a tight game. Then they get their first win. And then just 2 back-to-back ugly losses, like just not great, ugly losses. So Birmingham's in the mix, even though you're on, let's see, quarterback. You played your 4th yesterday. You're on your 3rd now with Case Cookus, and coach put the new kid in there yesterday, got him some reps because I was watching some of that game while I was trying to get ready to go to the airport. And then I think St. Louis looks pretty good, but you're on your backup quarterback there. However, former Heisman Trophy runner-up, starting to look a little bit better at quarterback for St. Louis, starting to kind of figure things out. Max Duggan, getting the run game going a little bit with him. So that looks a little bit better than it did week 1 when he was just kind of all over the place and refused to do an interview on the sideline. Not that that's important. But, yeah, I would say right now, I haven't seen the new odds. I would have to think right now that Michigan is the favorite to win the championship this year. I would be surprised if they have not moved into that spot right now.
Are they doing home championship games?
St. Louis.
It's in St. Louis again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah, which obviously, if the Battlehawks were to find a way to make it, would just be a massive advantage.
Yes.
Because that's the one place that's just really different. Really different. When you're talking about getting a little bit of crowd behind you and getting some extra noise, making it difficult on the opposition. Yeah, it'd be tough. Toatawa was 19 carries, 99 yards yesterday for Michigan. Bryce Perkins, Greg, 13 of 18, 188, 2 touchdowns. And he ran 9 times for 90 yards and a touchdown. He had 1 stiff arm on a DB, put him on his back. He had another with literally 3 defenders right in his circumference and was able to find a way out. Had a spin move on the sideline to then go another like 7 yards in for a touchdown. I mean, he was just incredible. He He was in the zone yesterday. I know we say that a little bit too much sometimes, and it sounds kind of corny, but he was in the zone yesterday.
But sometimes you can definitely tell.
He threw a no-look pass for a conversion. Like he was rolling right, and it was a literal Mahomes. He was looking at the guy, and he looks away and then just throws across his body. It's not like a long pass. And he said, I think he said after the game yesterday, like, yeah, that was unnecessary. But, but he completed it.
That's all that matters.
It worked. So it's a lot. And you just, you look at the league right now. Is it more or less star power? Maybe AJ McCarron out, and some of the other guys that have had good runs, like Akeem Butler has just come back the last 2 weeks. I think they need him because he can be a monster. He's a guy that people know and people can get excited about. But, I don't know. A lot of people remember Bryce Perkins. I think I said Anthony Perkins. I meant Bryce. I don't know. A lot of people didn't watch Toa run at Nevada. So some of these guys are kind of getting going a little bit and starting to feel like Luis Perez. We know him here in Birmingham, of course, because of the Iron. Of course, Jordan Ta'amu because of Ole Miss. But it's lacking a little bit of star power because you've got some new guys that are starting to show up. I mean, Matt Corral, we know him, but now he's injured. He's out. So you're seeing some new guys emerge, and I think it's going to take a little extra time for people to be like, man, I want to go watch that guy. I want to go watch Bryce Perkins. I want to go to Toa and see what they can do. So it's a fun season, though. It's and I think it's super competitive. It's going to be fun. The postseason is going to be really good. There's a couple of really important games coming down the stretch. We'll keep you posted on all of those. I mentioned star power, however, and it's something that I want to talk about in the world of college football this upcoming season. Do you believe we will get more or less star power in college football this season? Are the names going to be able to carry it kind of like they did last year? There are some similar advantages that will take place this year compared to last year. But what's it going to look like? We'll begin that discussion. You can be a part of it, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Paul Finebaum will be with us to share in that conversation. Matt Zenitz will join us at 8:20 to talk transfer portal. We'll get it all rolling right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. Monday, May 5th, 7:20, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you being with us. Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. JocksFM.com. You can listen live there. Appreciate you always tuning in. He joins us each and every week, thanks to our friends at Craneworks from the SEC Network, and hear him right here on Jocks, 2 to 6 p.m. It's Paul Finebaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, always great to visit with you on a Monday morning. As it pertains to, because we heard, obviously, the president came and spoke at the commencement for the Alabama graduating class, Nick Saban there as well. And then some reports began to surface on Thursday that Tommy Tuberville, Nick Saban had kind of gotten Trump off to the side and had some conversations about NIL. It sounds like he may be looking to do some sort of an executive order now. We know that legislation was set to be laid down. We haven't really seen that finalized just yet. Where are we with Washington's involvement with college football right now?
Well, I think we're at the most important point because for the first time, the most important person has been notified there is a problem. And what I mean by that is you can go to Congress all you want with all the commissioners and football coaches and lobbyists. But right now, Donald Trump runs that community. And with what appeared to have happened Thursday, I think it's a break. And I think, not to sound like every Alabama fan in America who thinks Nick Saban can do no wrong, but in this particular case, he can do no wrong. Saban has tremendous clout in all walks of life, but in particular with the president. So I think if this can happen, it would be a very important moment. Now, listen, I am not smart enough to analyze the legalities of an executive order and how it pertains to something as intricate as antitrust exemption. I know there are plenty of people with opinions, but I do think this is a big moment, and it's why I really believe, and you guys know me, I'm a sports talk show host. I'm not a politician, but I really believe if what is about to happen happens, and that means Tommy Tuberville announces he's giving up his seat to run for governor, I don't think there's a better person to take that spot than Nick Saban. And I think by doing so, he would literally represent college athletics in Washington. And I think something would finally happen. He's the most important football coach of all time. And this is the most important moment in the history of college athletics. And I think even though he would be one of 100, he could do a lot of great work. And I don't think it would be that difficult for him to get the nomination nor get elected.
So you're saying Saban to the Senate of Alabama? That's where you're saying hypothetically.
Absolutely. And listen, Tuberville did a good job there in representing college interests. We know that. We've all talked to him countless times. And again, you can disagree with his politics on many issues, but I think he has college athletics' best interest in heart. But Nick Saban would be even better, as well as Tuberville has done in pushing this up the hill. We haven't gotten up that hill yet. And can you imagine just by what we saw Thursday night in Tuscaloosa and what we may see this weekend in Washington, the aura around this man. And I have talked to him. I know you guys have probably as well. He's always pushed politics aside. He's acted uninterested, but that's why he was a head football coach. And it's also why Tommy Tuberville held this seat. But that's going to change in 2 weeks. And I think of enough people, and I'm starting with the president of the United States, saying we need you in Washington. I don't know how he could turn that down to remain doing whatever he is doing when he's not on TV.
And I love the thought. I think it's a little far-fetched. I just don't see him doing it. I feel like right now he's universally beloved. He's got a great business. He's got great exposure on ESPN. But at the same time, I mean, nothing would surprise me. I mean, if Donald Trump asked you to go and run for the Senate, it'd be a tough invitation to turn down, I would think. But crazier things have happened. I think he'd be a tremendous ambassador. If he did get put in a position like that, do you actually think that this would be beneficial? Do you actually think that there could be change that would begin in Washington, or would it still be lip service the way it's been for the last several years.
Well, Greg, right now, nothing is getting done there for obvious reasons. But if you have a coalition, and I don't even think this is a bipartisan issue, there has not been that moment, and we're coming closer to it right now with the $40 million payrolls and the Nico situation from a month ago. But it's hard to, considering with all the significant world and global issues, to get that body to pay attention to something like athletics. And they're all sports fans, but I think something like this could bring it to a head. And I think because Nick Saban is probably the most universally respected figure in sports. And one thing you said, I agree with. He is beloved right now. And I know you always run that risk because when you run for public office, you have to choose. And when you choose, you end up ticking people off. But I think he is that one type of figure that could get through that. And I don't know. Listen, everybody claims to know what makes Nick Saban tick. But I know, and you know, Greg and Cole knows, what he likes, I think more than anything, is helping people. How many times has he talked about that? And as rewarding and as successful as he has already been in 1 year on television, the amount of people that he could affect would be far more as a representative than as a figure on TV and as a business person. And you don't have to give up business to run for the Senate. You do have to put them in a trust to run for president. But I think there are plenty of very successful multimillionaire senators right now sitting in Washington.
Paul, I'm going to ask you this follow-up question. I believe you'll follow me where I'm going here, but with everything we said, it might not sound sensical to some people. Do you think the conference commissioners would want this? Because the way that you sort of paint the picture, it feels like you would bring someone in who had basically the better good of college football in mind and would sort of watch over all of it. That sounds great in a lot of ways, but they don't have that right now. Therefore, they still can enact a lot of freedom on doing what they want to do with their league and having things go their way. Do you see where I'm going with that? Might not necessarily, it sounds like it's what they want, but it might not end up being as beneficial as the way things are right now, or maybe where they would go without that person in place.
I know exactly where you're going, Cole, because every time somebody says Saban to be czar of college football, you and I and Greg say, oh, it's a great idea, but you know the commissioners don't want that. You know what? The best part about what we are talking about here is the commissioners have no say-so. They can't stop Nick Saban from running for public office. They can talk to him when he gets in, though, and I think they will. I know Greg Sankey and other people in sports have always leaned heavily on Nick Saban when it comes to this issue, and it's not so much because of his knowledge. His knowledge is self-evident. It's his influence. What matters most, and by the way, Greg, I've got even another idea. When Saban gives up his seat, whenever he gives it up, he hands it over to his first starting quarterback who won him a national championship. But I'll save that for another day. But the point being, Washington, D.C. is about power. And Nick Saban would have more power than Tommy Tuberville, than his closest friend growing up, Joe Manchin, than other people. And he could also form coalitions. And, Alabama is well represented. I was up there a couple of months ago, and Katie Britt is extremely well thought of in that chamber. But Saban can draw a crowd. Most senators, as big as they are, cannot draw flies when it comes to an issue. He can. And it's not that this legislation will be enacted overnight. But I think he can drive it, and I really believe the key to it is the person at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And one thing that we all know about President Trump is he understands celebrity, he understands success. He's a huge sports fan, and we've seen him in Tuscaloosa enough times, and with Saban at the White House that Nick Saban won't be waiting long to get an appointment to see him if he needs something done.
Paul, as you look beyond that very interesting thought and theory, I'm really curious to see kind of where things are going to go here with this, with the next few months, and whether or not this House settlement is approved and all this other stuff. So in the event in which there's not an executive order, in which the House settlement continuously gets pushed down the rabbit hole and they don't come to a conclusion, they just do what they always do in Washington, or at the circuit courts. They just take forever because there's zero efficiency. What do you think that means for this upcoming season in college football?
Well, I think right now the House settlement will at least stop what is currently going on, but it won't stop it for long, Greg. And what is currently going on is just, you heard 3 years ago, Wild Wild West. that was a Nickelodeon show compared to what's going on right now. I mean, this is the end of time with what we're doing, and I don't think they can really stop it at the moment because as soon as the House settlement goes in, it does make the framework more concise, but there is no apparatus in place right now for enforcement. So everyone will continue to do whatever they have to do. So the short-term answer, Greg, for the future of college athletics is rather bleak.
Paul, we always appreciate the time. Always great insight. Always great thoughts. Look forward to doing it again next week.
Can't wait. Thank you, guys.
Paul Finebaum on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. Joins us every Monday. You can hear his show 2 to 6 p.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. We'll kind of react to that and then go into name recognition, name power that college football will be bringing this fall. Better, worse than it's been the last few years? Could it be problematic? Does it need more? And then when you switch to the coaching part of that conversation, also interesting as to where it is compared to where it's been. And do we think it can catch up to where it was just a couple of years ago? All that and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to talk star power in college football here in just a moment. Before we do that, Greg, tell our listeners about Shannara Flooring.
Well, Shannara Flooring has done a great job for so many people in the area, and you'll understand why when you visit with Fu for the very first time. I mean, Fu has built a company on foundation and trust and just high-end installations. They're going to be respectful of your home. They're going to do everything that they need to do to make sure that your home is protected and that it is safe and all these other aspects of it. Because when you're taking out floors, man, it can be a dangerous job. They got to make sure that they go above and beyond to take the extra precautions to make sure that your home is exactly the way it looked when they walked in for the very first time. They also have 40,000 square feet of Core-Tech flooring in stock by Shaw. They're the only company in the area that has that kid-proof, waterproof, pet-proof flooring that brings great value to your home or business. You can get 12 months financing with approved credit. So if you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, call who? Call Fu. Call them today at 205-518-6423 or go online at fuandu.com.
All right, this pretty surprising before we move into college football name recognition. Baseball America just dropped their top 25.
Yes.
I'll give you all one guess at who the number one team is. I don't believe you're going to be able to get it. I'll go a step further. An SEC team is number one, and I don't think you'll get it.
For 2025.
It's not for the whole year, but correct. We are in 2025, and this is the latest top 25.
Oh, the latest top 20. I was thinking
baseball.
I was thinking like projections and stuff like that.
Not a projection, an actual top 25.
Number one team is A&M.
Nope. John?
Florida.
The Georgia Bulldogs are Baseball America's number one team in the nation.
Ah.
Wow, okay.
If you hadn't kept up until 2 years ago, this baseball program was fairly miserable.
Well, they have had some moments of pretty good play, though.
Texas, number 2, swept Auburn a couple of years ago. Auburn has now won, I believe, 8 of 10 series. Auburn gets 2 of 3 against Tennessee over the weekend. They outscored Tennessee 18-7. Arkansas 3rd, North Carolina 4th, Auburn 5th, LSU 6th, Florida State, Coastal Carolina, West Virginia, Oregon, Vandy 11, Clemson, Tennessee 13, Troy at 14. Trojans, a top 15 baseball team in the country right now. I believe Troy, I'll go back and check that. Hold on. Oregon State at 15, Oklahoma 16, Cal Poly at 17, Ole Miss at 18. Other SEC teams you would have Florida 22 and Bama at 25. So the Georgia Bulldogs, number one in the nation. Wow. What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. Do they also have all the baseball coaches always have complained about this for years. Like they get lottery money and that it leads to like benefits. And it's like, dude, come on. Just win. Win games. Win games. The Rays win a lot with a minimal payroll. It happens.
It's been a complaint for a lot of people.
I would never in a million years have guessed that Georgia was number one, by the way.
I don't think a lot of people saw that coming.
I don't pay attention to a lot of the rankings in baseball. I do have it on actually pretty regularly, but I've never really paid that much attention to it. From a ranking standpoint, don't have a Baseball America login. But
you don't have to see the graphic that they tweeted out. But yeah, go for it.
There you go.
Go check the stats.
Check it.
All right, we were talking star power in college football, and I think there are a couple advantages that we'll have this year. A lot of extra advantages that we had last year. But when you think individually, just name recognition, star power, people that fringe college football fans are going to want to go watch, just no matter what. That if you're not a diehard Oregon State or Tennessee or Minnesota fan, you're going to go watch this kid play somewhere else. Like we've talked about Oklahoma getting a quarterback from Washington State and John Mateer that not a lot of people just have seen play because they didn't really know who he was or didn't know about him. He's not going to bring that right now, maybe by the end of the year. But do you look at this year on the surface as in better shape or worse shape maybe than going into last year or the last few years, just on star power name recognition across the board in college football?
I would say star power is down across the board, but I do think in this league in particular, the SEC in particular, those that are diehard SEC fans, I think the star power is quite good. Like, people are very intrigued by Lenore Sellers. People are very intrigued by DJ Lagway. I think people are very intrigued by Arch Manning. But if you look at like the Big Ten, I mean, who is the headline attraction in the Big Ten?
It's an easy name. But here's the problem, and this is part of where I was going to go with this. Some of our higher end players who we probably know because we've seen it to an extent, and then we believe are going to be some of the best players in the country this year, Greg, they still haven't been doing it very long. Because Jeremiah Smith is that name. Yet, do people just think about how many times have we mentioned Jeremiah Smith since February?
Not often.
Since we stopped talking about the national championship game.
He plays the wrong position.
We haven't talked about him much at all. Ryan Williams, another one of those guys.
Yes.
Like dynamic, unbelievable.
For sure.
Great player. Probably top 5 player returning in college football. Yet, we don't we live in Alabama. We're 45 minutes from campus, and we don't talk about him a ton the way that we would some of the quarterbacks that have been returning in previous years, whatnot. Drew Aller, even though he's been around for a long time and he's played good football, like he's not that polarizing name, captivating name.
No, I don't think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't wait to watch Drew Aller this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, you may have had that guy at tight end last year, and because it's tight end, still didn't really bring people to the television like that. So I'm kind of with you. I think it's down, but I do think ceiling, it has a chance to be better.
Yes.
And one thing that you and I have talked about that has helped college football the last couple of years, even though there's parts of it that we despise, parts of it that are extremely annoying, kind of like Kentucky getting a commitment from tight end Elijah Brown. Does anybody want to take a guess where he's been? Alabama, FAU, and UCF.
Oh, there you go.
He's only going to school number 4.
That's fine. And all those stops have been highly popular.
Sure, he's just taking advantage of all 3.
Yes.
But when you get a guy like Nico Iamaleava this offseason, now all of a sudden UCLA becomes intriguing. Now all of a sudden people want to pay attention to UCLA. That's one that will help all of college football. As dumb as it was, and maybe as far down the road as his family overplayed their hand, that brings people to college football because they're like, hold on, this is the guy whose dad they got, and then they traded quarterbacks. What's the kid's name going to? Okay, I don't care about him, but I want to see what this kid does out there. That will bring fringe fans to the table.
Yes.
But even some of the ones that probably should, like a Garrett Nussmeier, like you and I both know he's got game. He's going to put up good numbers, but is he captivating? Is he polarizing?
No, not in the sense that we've seen in recent years, though. I mean, we've had, obviously Caleb Williams was a real needle mover.
And once again, why? Because he left. Part of the reason was he left and left with his coach. I'm just saying that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, being married to the move of Lincoln Riley was very.
But it makes it more intriguing to people that might not have normally paid attention to it.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of a disconnect, though, if you want me to be honest. Talked with a lot of people about this for a while. I think there's a real disconnect between the fan and the player now.
Yeah.
Like I hate that that's the case, but once upon a time, there used to be a really big connection to the player that played at your school. Like, because, hey, he lives in the same dorm I lived in. He walks across the same quad I walked across. Like we're from the same hometown. Like there's a million reasons why you could connect with and relate to the player, and we have lost that.
Here's what's more wild about that, Greg. And I'll tell you why on the other side. Fans should be more connected to players now than ever. We'll continue discussing that. We'll take your calls, 800-239-9569. Could this be a problem for college football? Because we've seen popularity just trending up. Everybody talks about ratings. And we have warned you, don't just lean on that because some of these exterior sources and reasons that college football is becoming more and more popular are not just going to continue. It's not just going to keep being that. And when it's not that anymore, can it continue to be as popular? I'll tell you about Gusty Goulas and the Gusty Goulas Group first. If you're looking for a new home in Birmingham, Alabama, just Google Gusty Goulas Group. What are you going to see? Over 855 5-star Google reviews. Most agents going to start marketing after you list with them. Not Gusty. He's doing it long before. He served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Brokered by eXp Realty. Recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. So if you want to get rid of a home, if you're looking to get in your dream home, call 205-542-1996 or go to GustyGoulisGroup.com today. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Tweet in Mac and Cube. Text in 205-834-9450 as we continue talking star power in college football. Better this year, concerning this year, and what does the future appear to be? More on that next. Mac and Cube in the morning. $7:49 Monday, May the 5th, right here on Jocks 94.5, 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Text in 205-834-9450. As we continue the conversation on star power in college football, I think it's easy to name names, though, Greg, that could potentially break through this year. And there's one that obviously is going to be polarizing, is going to be captivating, is going to bring people to the television. And it's because partially that name recognition, Arch Manning. People are going to line up to see him. People are going to want to see how it works, how it's going, what he does. And a lot of that reason is the last name. A lot of the reason, too, is he's got talent, and then he's at Texas. I mean, that's a match made in heaven as far as bringing fringe fans, casuals to the table to want to watch and watch just a little bit more. Like Cade Klubnik at Clemson should be one of these guys we're talking about, but is he a name that when regular people, like when Georgia fans are walking down the street, they're like, I want to go watch that guy play. Like, I really need to see him play. Like, Jeremiah Smith's that guy, should be that guy, just because physically what he is, his makeup. But Lenore Sellers probably going to be one of those guys. Lagway can be one of those guys. They're out there. We've got them. It's kind of like they're in the farm system, but they also have to hold up their end of the bargain and go win some games, put up some good numbers to get some of these fringe fans to come watch and maybe help the growth of college football continue.
But like an example, if you are on an average team, people just don't pay attention. Like, you got to be on a good team. And we're talking about the average casual fan here. If you're playing in a game that involves, two unranked teams and one's 4-3 and the other's is 3-4, and it's week 8 in college football, they're both coming off a bye week. People aren't watching.
Is Scadaboo kind of our perfect example of this last year where, there's no way anybody knows about him if that Arizona State team is, a 6-win team last year.
If Cam Scadaboo's name was Nolan Jones, no one would even have paid attention until the playoffs. But because his name was Scadaboo, you know what I mean?
Part of it too, I think the way that he ran.
He's also a white running back. And it's like, whoa. It's like, this guy's pretty dang good. You know what I mean? So it's like
you said, the team winning games helped because all of a sudden now you're like, hold on.
But all of a sudden that was what, November?
Yes.
When people started to pay attention to Arizona State?
It was a ways down the road. It was
late. Like, it wasn't like it was mid-October. Like, oh, this is a team that if they get hot, you could be off and running. Like Scadaboo and company. I mean, no one even knew about Jordan Tyson, who was playing as good as anybody at wide receiver. Nobody could have told you who Sam Levitt was until the Big 12 championship game. Like, nobody knew who the people knew Scadaboo because that's a name that you remember. That's a name that people are 100%. Like, oh, that's interesting. I might need to check that out. But how many people knew Sam Levitt?
Still don't.
I mean, seriously, like nobody. So I think a lot of it has to do with, and we in the media are guilty of this. Like, we play the hits. Like, we're going to talk about the teams and we're going to know the teams inside and out that we expect to be there at the end, and the teams that are going to move the needle. So how many people could have told you 8 different guys on Colorado's team just because Colorado got a lot of coverage? And it's not just Shador and Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
LeJonte Wester got some coverage. Horn got some coverage. Like, there's some Shiloh got coverage. I mean, there's a bunch of them. You could tell you a handful of guys.
Yeah.
That played there. So I think that it's just the way it's covered, and that's nobody's fault. It's just the realities of what sells.
We've seen some defensive players work into this mold, fit into this mold. Like, let's take a Dylan Stewart. What would realistically have to happen for him to become this guy? Clowney was kind of one of those guys. I think Will Anderson was one of those guys. Now, playing at Alabama, playing on teams contending for a title, obviously helped there.
Yeah.
But there have been some others that have sort of fit into that. And Ndamukong Suh was one of those guys where I think people who are not diehard college football fans are like, who is this guy? I want to go see what these people are talking about.
For sure.
And they would want to go watch him play football. Now, Travis Hunter was one for a lot of different reasons that not many people are going to even be able to come close to replicating what he did and the ways that he did it. But what would it take for Dylan Stewart to become one of these type players that we're referencing? Can he even?
Well, it requires a play that people just will remember forever. Like, Cornelius Bennett was a great player, but people remember the hit on Steve Berline. Like, obviously.
Yeah, it's a big part.
I don't think there's a lot of other people that can tell you like a specific moment of Cornelius Bennett's career. Maybe you can, I don't know.
Or moments.
Yeah, correct.
And a lot of that too then was you weren't able to see a lot of them like you are now.
That's fair, and it's not viral moments. It's not going all over the place.
Right.
Like, but Jadeveon Clowney, if you really look at like his color production, it really wasn't that outrageous. I mean, it was fine, but everyone remembers when he knocked the guy's helmet off in the Outback Bowl or whatever that was against Michigan.
He had preseason hype though that was off the charts.
Yeah,
he had physical traits. I mean, his size and ability was a little bit different than a lot of people, kind of like Will Anderson. But we haven't seen a ton, and we've gotten some of these guys sometimes that on that side of the football have been able to do it. If you were to ask me that question, I would probably say something around the lines of a 8-1, 9-1, ish South Carolina with, by that time in the season, 3/4 of the way season through, probably 10, 11 sacks.
Right.
And like you said, a big play or two here or there that either sealed a game, won a game. Like, I think about Pollock when he was that guy. Like, Pollock made some of those plays, like, the sack in the end zone where he stripped the ball out. I forget the team that I think it might have been South Carolina that Georgia was playing when he did that. Like, Pollock had multiple massive plays that people just remembered. And so he was disruptive. People obviously remembered him, and he was on team that was pretty good. They had name recognition. So Dylan Stewart can get there, but I still think it would kind of take a lot.
He also wore like number 47. It was like kind of a throwback, I mean, like there are things that people remember for whatever weird reason it might be. Like if you have, like, why do you think people love Deion Walker? Because he wore number 0 and he was gigantic. You know what I mean? Like there's like weird things that people remember. And I think that the star power is a fascinating conversation because everyone views star power in a slightly different light.
It is. It's one thing that is going to be interesting to watch this year is what players kind of do reach that plateau. We'll continue that conversation when we come back. You give us your thoughts on what players will become stars in college football this season. Who's sort of in the on-deck circle? We'll discuss that next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8 a.m., hour number 2 underway, Monday, May 5th. Jocks 94.5. Watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks 945, WJOX 94.5. You'll be able to find it and watch live every morning. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill. You can listen that way. Before we continue our name recognition in college football, star power returning this year in college football, I sent you guys a photograph yesterday from the airport. I'm going to ask you politely not to reference exactly what the event was. Because that was a flight from Detroit to Birmingham direct. And that will be very easily identified. First off, what's the worst tattoo that you've ever seen? Of a thing. Not like that somebody had half their body tattooed, whatever it was. But like one individual thing that was tattooed and you just said, that is dumb. That's completely uncalled for.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people could get offended by this segment.
Yeah, we're going to try not to individually offend them, though. But
I feel like face tattoos in general are just kind of a tough sell.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't have any problem with it. I'm just like it's your body. You do what you want with it.
It's definitely a look.
It's just not something I could pull off.
Okay. All right. So, but is there anything that sticks out for you, John, that you've seen that someone had tattooed, an actual item, and you just said, no, don't? I mean, I sent you guys mine yesterday.
Oh yeah, that one probably.
Like you have to have participated in said sporting event and done well for that to be acceptable.
How do you know he didn't?
I know.
Didn't look like him.
Actually had gear on from another sport that would have been a direct contrast of sporting event that was tattooed. I'll tell you during the break. I got to stay away from it a little bit. It's because it's so easy to figure out. So we're not going to do that. But I do need to know, Damien, do you have one that sticks out? Like one thing?
Yeah. Gucci Mane has an ice cream cone on his face.
What's wrong with that? I mean, it's his favorite food.
Just not a good look.
Like Greg said, face tattoos are hard.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's an ice cream cone.
I mean, there's someone that's got a city skyline across his chest.
Like the chili restaurant?
No. A Lower Alabama.
Skyline Chili logo would be bad also. Would also be bad.
Skyline Chili logo, if you're from Cincinnati, would be hilarious.
Depends on where.
Well,
just like Gucci
one way or the
Mane.
other.
If that's your favorite go-to food, go for it. The people who are giving free advertising out, though, I do think is odd. Like
That's
the Nike
fair.
swoosh tattoos, I'm kind of like, well, you better have a lifetime contract.
You don't think they do?
Like, not even Bo Jackson has a Nike swoosh tattooed on his arm or anything, I don't believe. Like, not even Jordan has the Jumpman logo tattooed anywhere. Like, that's you got to have.
Well, he wouldn't need. I mean, he could do it.
I get it, but like
yeah.
but still, you would think if there was a guy that could do it, that would probably be the one. Like, where would you have to get to have a single sporting event tattooed on your body? Like Super Bowl 50. Do you have to be Peyton Manning for that?
Yeah. I mean,
Von Miller?
I think if you participated in the game and won, I can live with having like a logo from a sporting event on.
Like if you're
honestly, like a lot of people find great joy and happiness in their team winning and participating in the game. So if you're like a diehard fan of said team, I have no problem with it. The problem is with the tattoo that you took a picture of yesterday, there is not a team involved.
No.
It's
one dude won.
Maybe he's a big Adam Scott fan.
Yeah, exactly. You can probably connect the dots. Like you have not just a specific logo that is
like this would be a
associated
fan
with the
having
national
this would
golf.
be the equivalent of a fan having the Talladega logo on their arm.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Like if you like NASCAR, you decide to put the Talladega logo on your arm. That's
Is that just like your favorite track? Is that like if you just had the Vince Lombardi trophy tattooed on your arm?
Actually, quite literally.
I like winning. Okay, but you didn't win all those.
You know what? Actually, quite literally, because we know it as the, Augusta of racing.
Like if you had Barber's tattoo.
If you're an Indy fan, you put Barber's on there because it's the same.
See, for me, you would have had to. Here's the one out that I would say would be acceptable. Like if you're a member of that pit crew that won that year, and there's a similar person that could go there with the one we're talking about, maybe that was it.
Yes.
I think pit crew count. Like you're part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's acceptable.
So I'm saying if this was that guy for that event, he was part of the team.
Like that
It's
dude's
technically
caddy?
a two-person team. Correct. Yeah.
caddy,
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Caddy's
It
cool,
could have
yeah.
been. I don't know.
I mean, you get part of the purse.
Let me ask you a question.
He wasn't carrying a purse, by the way.
If you are just out of sheer curiosity, this is, buddy of mine played minor league baseball, and one of his draft pick friends, that was in the same draft as him. I don't even know what you call that. Like
It's an MLB draft.
Guy that was in the same draft class as him.
Colleague?
Yes. He got an
Classmate.
he was like a 42nd round pick and got an MLB tattoo on his shoulder.
Hell yeah. He just skipped over the MILB logo.
Right.
Literally, as far as he went, I think was rookie ball. But you have MLB logo because
What's
you
the
were a
rookie
draft.
ball logo look like? I haven't seen the tape.
I don't know. I feel like MILB makes sense. Like if you go MILB, I can live with that.
Is there an MLB draft logo? Like there's an NFL logo? I don't know.
I don't know.
But he did get, there is. It's got the MLB logo on it. And
He was drafted
it looks
into
like,
Major
actually,
League
it
Baseball,
looks
was he not?
basically like the NCAA, like it's an NCAA EA Sports game is what the logo looks like. But he got drafted in the Major League draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of,
It's also a 42nd round.
I didn't get drafted in any rounds. So, I mean, I'm not going to hate on him. But yeah, the tattoo portion of it, yeah.
Just feel like it's presumptuous.
What's acceptable from a sports perspective to get a tattoo? Like we see people all the time, their teams win. Like you win the SEC, you get SEC champs. Whatever.
I got no problem with that.
We don't get a lot of like Blue Bonnet Bowl tattoos walking around because their team won that game.
You didn't think about getting an Independence Bowl tat?
Didn't never cross my mind.
Alamo Bowl champ.
I got no problem with it. I got no problem if you want to get a tattoo because your team won said game. I don't care if it's the Outback Bowl or the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl. I don't care.
Played in it.
If you
Blockbuster Bowl.
like it, yeah. If it's a big deal to you and you want to immortalize that moment on your body, that is up to you.
What about
I got
just
no
a
problem
regular
with
season
that.
win?
I got no
What do you
problem.
get the
Acceptable
date?
too?
You get the
Yeah.
box score tattooed on your
Like,
arm?
we beat Memphis.
All right, can we just stop beating around the bush? A guy had a tattoo of Augusta National.
But it was an individual year.
Correct. Yes. It was an individual
So
year.
what are
like
the
marking that specific year?
So like what are our possibilities here?
Big Rory
Caddy
guy. Big Rory guy.
If it's caddy, then 100%.
in.
I'll high five you on that one.
I kind of.
But if it was like a guy's trip,
Right.
like guys trip, I went. And honestly,
bachelor party
I
at
do feel
Augusta
like
National that year,
I do feel like location is also factoring in here. Like location of the tattoo matters.
Augusta has a lot of tattoo shops. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying like if you go Augusta National and you like have it where it's not easily visible, then fine.
Right.
Like, I got no
Okay.
problem with that.
As a patron, it would be, but if it was the actual caddy, then you're not going to see it because they
No.
have to wear the white suits.
That's true. But in everyday life,
They have to
it's-
wear the white hazmat.
in everyday life, it's an extremely visible tattoo.
Uh-huh.
If the weather's warm. Earth,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
usually for us, I mean, it's pretty much
for
shorts
us,
all the time.
most of the year.
Yeah, I would say there might be 2 months a year where I'm wearing pants.
And that's why I sent you guys the question. I was curious, like when is a sporting event tattoo acceptable?
I think whenever you feel like that sporting event needs to be immortalized, like you're going to the
Okay.
grave with that sporting event.
I like that today you're, Mr. I'm on side of the fence today. Like, good and well that a lot of these are dumb. I mean, it's if it
I, for
floats your
one-
boat, get it.
I, for
Okay,
one,
cool, great. You're on the side of the fence.
I'm not
The
on
rest
side
of us
the
are going to talk about how stupid it is to get a tattoo of an event when you did not participate in said event. And I'm not talking about your team winning because this is not a team sport.
Nope.
This is basically we went to Barber's over the weekend. Don't know who won. Got a Barber's tattoo on our bicep.
Yeah,
That's dumb.
I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying if a team, for example, Super Bowl 50, you're a diehard Denver Broncos fan, you're a diehard Peyton Manning fan.
But you probably wouldn't get the Super Bowl logo. You would probably get something with like Broncos world champions.
Like
I would
Mina
imagine.
Kimes got the Roman numerals, like 48 or whatever that the Seahawks won. It's on her arm. You see like XLV or whatever it is. Like Mina Kimes has that. I'm like, all right, that's cool. You know she's a huge Seahawks fan, but nothing like big and gaudy. But hey, I'm down.
You could also be misrepresented for what was the movie where everybody had like the little, I think it was a Schwarzenegger movie where like they had little tattoos on their wrist. And that's how they identified them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I can't remember the movie now. Eraser? Something. I don't know what it
no,
was. Either way.
no, it wasn't Eraser.
Oh, Kindergarten Cop.
No.
It wasn't. It wasn't Demolition Day.
off,
It
Demolition
was not
Man.
Commando, which is the
No,
top
there
5
was that
action
one
movie of all
movie that
time.
was like time, or like you had time on your
Yeah,
wrist.
that's called In Time.
Yeah, that was
Did
a sweet
not have
movie.
Schwarzenegger. Would have improved the movie.
Was good.
The movie's called In Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
hadn't seen
movie.
the tape on that.
No, you'd like it. It's good. It's
I don't know if
thoughtful.
he'd like it. Yeah, that's why.
It's not the worst.
Damien, where are the young folks on this as far as tattoos of events?
They're all over the place. It's some people, like, if you lose in fantasy football or something, you have to get
Yeah, that's a no.
Yeah, you have to get like the
Some
the
people
winner's
actually
name on
make
it.
wagers to get tattoos and actually don't get them.
So I've heard.
Happy birthday, by the way.
I just thought it was a fair question. John, do you have any tattoos?
I, in fact, do not.
Damien?
No.
We know Greg doesn't.
What makes you say that?
You got 2009 natty written
Yeah.
on your bicep anywhere.
Why do you think I don't have tattoos?
I do think it would be cool if I'm trying to think, give me an athlete right now that played at a lot of different places. Like Jose Canseco, like had all of his teams just like down the bicep, like
Yeah.
all 11 teams. he
TJ
played in.
Finley.
And you could do that now in college football. Yeah. Like the kid,
JT Daniels. Yeah.
Oh boy.
TJ would need like the entire calf,
Ryan Fitzpatrick, his whole calf is just, yeah.
all the way.
Fitzmagic?
All the way.
Literally.
Like Elijah Brown. You could
Josh
have
Johnson?
Alabama, FAU, UCF, you just go all the way down.
What about Josh Johnson?
Josh.
Josh Johnson's playing like 15 NFL teams
And XFL.
an XFL team.
He's got
And
he's
maybe
got a roster.
AAF. Was he on AAF?
Possibly.
Possibly.
That'd be a
Maybe.
good one.
Oh boy, AC's dad. We're not reading that on there. Michael Kirby tweets in, I agree with that, Cole Q, but getting a tattoo in an event you didn't participate in is like getting a Marine tattoo is never Marine. Yeah, that's off limits. You can't do that.
Disrespectful.
No, nobody does. You can't do that. Who does that?
What's
Like a-
worse, NBA jersey guy or sports logo tattoo guy? Here's the problem with the jersey conversation, John Mack, and Greg can attest to this also. That's like all kids are wearing these days. Is
Correct.
jerseys, like to school every day. When I was in elementary school, there were no jerseys to be had for kids. And then I think as I got to middle school, they had kids' jerseys, but like you literally had to go to that team's game in their stadium. Like if you went to Fulton County Stadium, you could buy a Braves jersey. You probably could not get one anywhere else. It just wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, my kids got a couple jerseys. Both my boys, actually my daughter has one too. She got a Travis Kelce jersey from my dad for Christmas. She loves it. She's a Taylor Swift fan. But I mean, there's kids that go to my kids' school every day.
A jersey?
Every day. Every single day.
Rich.
And I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying, like, it's very different now with the jersey things. Now you're
closest we
talking
had-
probably grown-ups. Which,
That's
Oh, yeah. The closest we had growing up were starter jackets. That was the closest thing we had.
we had
No.
Finding
jerseys.
something for
They
the
need to
team.
bring those back, by the way.
no, because when the Nike contract started going around, I worked at Foot Action, and they had a Miami 52.
Couldn't get a job at Foot Locker.
They had a Miami 52. They had an Alabama 80. They had a, I think Florida was 1. And Michigan, I can't remember the Michigan number. I think it was Biaka Batuka, 21 maybe. Like that was the first time jerseys were kind of readily available. But this is like my sophomore year in high school. So I wasn't wearing them. I didn't get any. But yeah, starter jackets. And then if you had an East Bay, I think you could get NBA jerseys out of East Bay. Like you could order a Shaq jersey or a Bird jersey out of East Bay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you had to go to the Garden to get a Larry Bird jersey. Like literally.
I want to say jerseys became pretty readily available, obviously with e-commerce booming in my childhood. I can remember a time pretty vividly, actually, where we could like go through our 5th grade yearbook, and I think the amount of Michael Vick jerseys that were worn in yearbook pictures was above 10% of the class. Like there's probably in, I don't know, Carroll Intermediate School, which was 5th and 6th grade. This would have been like 2000, 2001. I bet you of the 75 kids, boys that were in that class, there were 7 Michael Vick jerseys in the school picture. So multiple variations. That was right when the Falcons got new uniforms. And of course, Michael Vick was the hottest thing on planet Earth.
Of course.
So I don't know, dude. I think it started probably 25 years ago, and my generation could have very easily been the first one. And I'm not proud of that. I'm sorry.
To your Josh Johnson question, he did indeed play for in the AAF for the San Diego Fleet.
See,
for about 2 weeks.
Told him.
I thought it was gonna be for the Arizona firefighters.
Nah.
And not everybody on board with us here. Rod tweets in, listens most days, and we appreciate him tuning in. So people need to get approval from you for tattoo subject matter. Why is it anyone's business? This is a silly conversation. We have had good laughs on it.
Right.
I got no problem with anybody. Like we said from the very beginning, you want to put something
not mad
on
at anybody.
You want to put something on your body, by all means, but you do open yourself up for judgment.
Correct.
And that is all we're saying here. And if you rock a fill in the blank year Masters on your calf, there's going to be a little judgment, and it's honestly it's going to lead to a question to me.
You are perfectly fine to wear Crocs, but if you wear Crocs here, you're going to get roasted.
Yes, and or Yeezy slides.
Yes.
I had my 7-year-old doesn't come up here because
but giblets are fine though. That's fine.
I'm about to say, like I walk by people all the time and get judged. I'm fine. I can be judged. You can judge me. That's fine.
When your name is Judge and you wear Crocs, a lot of judgment.
Crocs rock, by the way. They're not for me.
They're not for me. War Eagle tweets in, never attended Auburn, just lifelong fan, have War Eagle and the Eagle on my arm, got it after Cam championship.
Hey.
There you go.
There we go.
But
that's supporting a team, not a specific event.
Right.
You didn't get the logo
of the year.
We beat Clemson that year, have
Yeah,
I'll be stomping on
Mississippi
Clemson's
State
logo or something. Yeah,
Auburn 3, Mississippi State 2.
Yeah,
whatever the final score was in that stupid game.
That was it, I believe. 800-239-9569. You want to get in? Real name Grover tweets in. Got my first jersey, Christmas '95. Purple Raptors, Damon Stoudemire. Got it from the mall in Tuscaloosa.
I had a Damon Stoudemire jersey as a kid, but
Really?
the old school throwback.
When Toronto switched to those jerseys he's talking about, there
they
were
were
a lot
so
of people
fire.
that wanted those.
Yep, I had those. I had one. It was awesome.
Had
It was
the,
my favorite jersey.
The claw marks.
No, I had like the traditional, like you can see a T-Rex on it. It was in my Jurassic Park phase.
Okay, hold on a second.
It's like 96.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah,
The team name was Raptors.
correct.
And you had a jersey with a T-Rex
It
on
was
it?
definitely a T-Rex. Raptors, you know what Raptors actually look like? They look like birds.
I know. Now we have figured that out. Yeah.
Is it now?
Unlike Jurassic Park,
Those
they
damn
weren't
scientists had to
mini,
ruin
they weren't
Jurassic
mini
Park for us.
T-Rexes.
The whole series is ruined.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Don't be mad. It was definitely a T-Rex on the front. It was just miniaturized. And I also had a Kajana Carter jersey. Like I had the most random collection of jerseys ever.
Met Kajana Carter at Health South doing rehab.
Really?
Not a nice guy.
Really?
Had no time for me.
I'm
whatsoever.
surprised y'all didn't hit it off.
Did not have a single second for me as a senior in high school rehabbing a torn ACL. I was like, that dude was the #1 pick, and he was just
Did not
turned
care.
and walked the other way. I was like, nice. I'm doing the same rehab.
I'm
you are.
shocked that y'all didn't hang out.
Tyler and Hoover. Well, actually, I will say this though: Jose Rijo doing rehab, like the nicest guy you could ever talk to, and that super giant WWE guy.
Kevin Nash.
No, taller than him.
Great Khali?
Yes,
Andre the Giant.
like nicest guy ever.
Okay.
Nicest guy ever. He was sitting there doing leg extensions, and it was like right under his kneecap.
Leg extensions?
Yes. Like
For the Great Khali?
leg extensions like this, and the thing was right there because he
God
couldn't get it.
almighty.
He couldn't get it towards his ankle.
You know you're in rehab when you're doing leg extensions.
Not even close to the largest human being I've ever seen in my life in person.
Really?
Not even like bigger than you would ever even imagine.
Huh.
It was just unbelievable. Sorry,
Love that.
Tyler. Go ahead.
No, you're good, guys. How are y'all doing today?
Great. Thank you.
Great conversation, Greg. I got to blame you. 2009, so I guess 2010, we were at the Rose Bowl, and, had a good time before, during, and after. A group of my buddies said that you won't get a tattoo. I said, I bet I will. And, buddy, I went to Sunset Boulevard about 2 a.m. at a place that looked like Alvin's Island.
Alvin's Island.
I bought a pullover outside the stadium because it was so daggum cold, and it had the Alabama Script A logo with the Rose Bowl BCS deal, and I gave them, showed them my jacket, and it is on my right hip, fellas. and it's your fault, Greg. Your fault.
See, right hip hidden.
But I would say
Safe,
one that would be
spot.
kind of like solid and acceptable there would have been like the BCS crystal ball with the year. You were there and it was fine.
We would run out of room.
You know, in the moment, I don't know that there was a whole lot
For
of
his
thought
that he was
into
at.
it, you know?
Not all of them.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You support a school.
Hey,
you wanted to immortalize that
I'm
moment.
fine with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And let me, and I have received my fair share of thrashings for it.
Really?
And thank goodness, back in 2009, 2010, it was a lot harder to go viral because I'm still concerned about who actually has the picture of that beautiful tattoo.
Oh, so
Well,
us asking you to send us one's not going to happen.
If
I
it's on
guess.
your hip, can I just ask you, how'd you land on hip?
Man,
it's just not
really my hip.
normal
It's
spot.
it's like the right side of my right glute, basically.
Right side of right glute. All right, so like piriformis area. Yeah. All right, that's a good spot for
it's
it.
below the belt, and you can't see it, and I guess that's how we landed on it.
Okay, that's a good spot. I was thinking like hip
Different
flexor.
spot.
I was thinking like hip flexor.
I was thinking right outside. I was like, man, I hope I don't have to have that hip replaced because I think they're going to go right through that.
Hey, and here's the worst part of the deal is when I got up the next day and I was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to do with Alabama on this. It just says 2009 national champion. So I had to go back. I had to go back to Tuscaloosa, and there was a place in town on 15th Street where a lot of the players would get tatted, and I had to walk in there completely coherent and say, hey, can you add the script A to this, please? And the guy was like, oh, my God.
Love it.
But, yeah, buddy.
You just
get
wanted
that
to avoid the
$1,000.
licensing fees out of the gate. I think it made sense. Just go back for more. I think that's great.
Good collegiate memories. Honestly, wouldn't change it. So, thanks.
There you go.
For,
See?
winning that natty, Greg.
Yeah, buddy.
You're welcome.
Thanks for immortalizing it on your hip.
E. Robinson tweets in, so I got a at Vandy football or just at Vandy U tattoo. Now what say ye? Or yay? You played football there. It's fine.
It's all love.
Not a problem with that. I will say this. There were some individuals who went down the Auburn football quote unquote tattoo route that could have been better. There could have been better choices made. I'm not talking about over time. I'm talking about teammates of mine.
Oh,
like I'm looking over here behind Damien. Like there was an oval tiger eyes era that wasn't the era that you wanted.
no, that
was
wouldn't
not it.
last very long.
No. You're hoping that wasn't when you wanted to get the Auburn tattoo.
Yeah.
Now, the old block AU in the old A with the eagle flying through it, you're good forever. You're solid. You're fine. But yeah, there've been a couple that a lot of teams I'm saying have tried like the new age logo and gone back.
That is a little dicey.
If you got that Alabama logo as opposed to the script A, you made a mistake.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, the elephants.
The mad elephant face.
But it's a face. It's a piece of time.
Yeah.
If you did that, I can now tell you what years.
What if you had that
got
without
that done.
Alabama crimson tide under it, and you went to the pool?
Just an elephant on the chest.
You went to the pool in like Austin, Texas, and people were like, "Oh, you
Big Dumbo
saved
guy.
the elephants, huh?"
Big Dumbo guy.
The angry elephant is a tough look. I do like the script A significantly
The
better.
best part was on the Jumbotron when I played, like the snout would move.
Oh, yeah.
When he got angry.
How they do the animation.
And the thing would go like just up and down a little bit. And you're like,
see, if it's a place and
We can
time,
do
like
better than that.
you
We can do
know
better
what
than that.
year you got that tattoo. If you got that tattoo of that logo, you know the year. You know the
Timestamp.
range.
what was the year? Like Dustin McClintock? Is that what you remember about
No, the
that?
steroid era for sure.
Which was the best era.
It's all a place and time.
Tell me Freddie Millions wasn't better than Julio Jones?
At the
Of
end
course
of the
he was.
day, yeah, by far. Yep, for sure. His was length that made him better than Julio. I am all for if someone wants to get a tattoo.
Nobody's mad at anybody
Totally
for a
support it.
tattoo.
No, not at all.
We were asking what is an acceptable sports tattoo? What is a mistake
I don't think
as a
there's
sports
anything.
tattoo?
I don't think there's anything unacceptable. But just know there are some tattoos, a la Augusta National logo, that to me is a little off limits. You want to go immortalize the Super Bowl. You want to go immortalize a team sport that you feel a close connection to. Unless you're on Scotty Scheffler's team, it's hard to justify that.
Like if you got the
tattoo.
5 Olympic rings, but you just win.
I love that. That's a perfect analogy.
Like if you're Phelps or Suni Lee,
100%.
Right.
Yes.
You're good.
You get the 5 Olympic rings because you were an attendee. That's
You're
a
like,
tough
what?
one.
I was in Atlanta. Like I went and watched them play in Barcelona. Like, what are you talking about?
That's a perfect
Beijing,
example.
baby.
I saw the torch run through Birmingham. Yeah, that
Yes.
counts.
Yes.
What's the problem?
We finished second in the medal count. The U.S. did that year. Like I wanted to immortalize that. Like
What's
that's
the
a
issue
perfect
here?
example. If you go
We were at
5
Sumo
Olympic
in Atlanta.
rings,
Like, what's the problem?
5 Olympic rings is the perfect analogy with what we're describing here. You go 5 Olympic rings and are not an Olympian, that is a tough one to pull off. It is.
Hey, I went to the World Games. I probably get
You should get
the
that.
World Games torch on my
That's a
chest.
perfect example. You go to the World Games, you get the 5 Olympic rings. I was an attendee. That's
Like,
perfect.
What about the NFL Shield?
You getting sued?
You're like, I like the NFL. I like the whole league.
What are you, Rob Lowe?
I don't
Rocking
know.
that NFL
Drake?
shield hat?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's along the same lines of you just like the whole. You're a fan of the whole thing, and that's not even a year.
I like what they stand for. I believe in antitrust protection. Like, who gets the NFL logo? What do you want to get it
That's
for?
what I'm saying.
Like, what's the point?
I'm saying that this is one along those lines.
I think people are taking it the wrong way. Like, it's not about the tattoo. It's about the subject matter of the tattoo and the location, frankly. Those are the two problems. What if you went NFL tattoo? Like,
I feel like only 2 people are mad
cheek?
about it. So I've done a good job. If I've only angered 2 people by bringing this up, then I think we're good.
No, I'm not.
I will say you're screwed on like the World Wrestling Federation. Like if you got the WWF
that's right.
tattoo,
If you got WWF,
you are-
that's another example. You go to WrestleMania, you get the WWF tattoo.
Like I went to WrestleMania 30. Should I have that logo tattooed?
WWE or WWF?
it was WWE at that
It
time.
was E at that time, I believe.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, it was. E. Robinson, yes, played theirs in past tense 24 years ago. Can I get the tattoo now? Of course you can. By the way, y'all can get any tattoos you want. I'm just saying, like Greg said, I question why you get a tattoo for a certain event, which is not designated for a specific team or individual.
Like an Auburn national championship tattoo, an Alabama national championship tattoo, those are perfectly fine. You are celebrating your team.
But if you got the SEC logo with 2024 underneath it, I need to know like what we're talking about.
Yes. SEC logo and said year. Okay, what sport? What
All of
team?
All of it.
That I have a hard time with.
Like, should I get a UFL tattoo? 2025 or 4?
Yes, I called games for the UFL for the. Actually, you could do that.
Good.
Yeah.
Not going to.
I think you should.
Okay, we need to move on because people are getting mad. Sorry. Didn't mean to get your feelings worked up. You can get them fixed today if you go to Bromberg's, though.
Yep, Bromberg's take care of it. I think that you'll have a tremendous experience when you go with the sales staff. They work with me. They've worked with you. The only really place I've been, to be honest with you, I've had a terrific experience, and I always will. Every time I walk into Bromberg's, I know I'm gonna be taken care of. Every time I walk into Bromberg's, I'm gonna feel as though things are just gonna be made right. It's just terrific to know that they have such a great selection. Right now is the best time of the year to buy. It's the Bromberg's Big Diamond Sale. It begins today. It goes through Saturday. So the 5th to the 10th, you get up to 50% off dazzling diamond jewelry and loose diamonds from the most trusted jeweler since 1836. They've been in business for almost 200 years. So if you're ready to pop the question, you want to get something for mom for Mother's Day, add a little sparkle to your own collection, now is the time to buy. So go and shop the Mountain Brook or the Summit locations. The expert team will guide you through buying the perfect diamond wrapped in the signature silver box. So hurry. These savings will not last forever. Is Bromberg's Big Diamond Sale May 5th through 10th. Because wouldn't you rather it come from Bromberg's? Go check them out. You can also shop online, brombergs.com.
We were going to roll the conversation of star power into the coaching portion of college football as well. We will do that when we come back. Part of that conversation will be a head coach at a Power 5 school that will be suspended this year. How many games? What school is it? We'll tell you next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to talk transfer portal, some other college football news, but there is massive news breaking ahead of our visit with Matt Zenitz, who is set to hop on the Higginbotham hotline in just a moment. Dan Wetzel reporting that Michigan expected to suspend head coach Sharon Moore 2 games during the 2025 season as a self-imposed punishment in the advanced scouting case. Pete Thamel, Dan Wetzel first to report that. So that's pretty big news for Michigan and for Sharon Moore, which will, what will this be, 2 out of 3 years that they'll have a head coach suspended in season? So a little bit odd, a little bit different, but of course going to happen again for Michigan this upcoming season. Don't forget about our friends at Train. Spring weather in Alabama is unpredictable. That's why you need the reliability of a Train, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive it to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. Find out more at train.com. And remember, it's hard to stop a train. All right, Matt Zenitz is going to hop on with us now of the On3 Sports Network. And Matt, I know this is new. This has just come down. But what do you make of Michigan self-imposed 2-game suspension of head coach Sharon Moore this upcoming season?
All of this has been an ongoing process and ongoing investigation. Obviously, fortunately for Michigan, the 2 games that he's going to miss are, no offense to these schools, but Central Michigan and Nebraska. So it's not like he's going to be missing the Ohio State game or something like that. So 2 games that you would think that Michigan should be capable of getting through even without its head coach.
When you think about some of the things that Michigan's had to deal with, it's kind of crazy. Frankly, when we look at all the different aspects of the drama and the controversy surrounding this case, is this the final deal, or can we finally move on from it after this upcoming season?
You would think so. I would think at this point. So in the last couple of weeks, you saw some inconsequential penalties handed out or show calls to coaches that are no longer at Michigan or even working at the college level, like Jesse Minter, who's the DC now with the Chargers. So I would hope this means that we're getting closer to finality with this whole situation.
All right, Matt Zenitz joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. You can follow him on Twitter at @mzenitz. Find his work at the CBS Sports Network 24/7 site. It's been a busy portal offseason, and one that you reported yesterday was Troy quarterback Matthew Caldwell going to Texas. And you added with that Texas had been in the market for a backup quarterback this offseason. Come in, obviously, Art's going to be the starter. What does Texas feel like they have? How important, how big of a get? I know he's not going to necessarily contribute on the field right away, but we've seen backup quarterbacks be needed. How big of a get was this for Sark just based on their desire to add someone at this position?
It was something that they felt like was necessary to add. So they only had 3 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster before yesterday. And aside from Arch, the only other 2 quarterbacks they had were a second-year player and a true freshman. So they felt like it was important for them to add a veteran depth piece to go along with that, which is exactly what this accomplishes for them with adding Matthew Caldwell, who closed last year as the starting quarterback at Troy. There were some different quarterbacks that they had looked into as transfer possibilities, and without getting into specific names or anything, there was actually a quarterback who they were close to adding with the starting experience and a recognizable name for people who actually ended up going somewhere else who have a chance to compete for the starting job instead of going to a place like Texas, where clearly would have been a backup option behind Arch. But this was something that they had as an important part of the spring portal checklist for them to add another piece to that quarterback room, specifically a veteran experienced option like they ended up adding.
How would you assess the depth that Texas has across the board? It sounds like, I know the quarterback position, they now feel like they've adequately addressed that. Running back appears like it's going to be deeper with the healthy return of CJ Baxter. Still a little curious about what they have along the offensive line and even the defensive line, but Texas is kind of the team coming into the season in the SEC that everyone feels best about. Do you think there's anything that should maybe be concerning?
I don't know about concerning. The offensive line's definitely a fair part of it, considering what they lost. I will throw out one more note about the quarterback with Matthew Caldwell. One interesting thing about him landing at Texas is he's an Alabama guy, and there was definitely a thought with schools that were involved in that may end up at Auburn, which was another one of the teams involved. There was also, in addition to Texas, another playoff team from last year that was after him as a backup option. But Auburn was one that multiple schools, I'll say, that were involved in that thought was maybe the favorite to end up getting him, and they were caught off guard when he ended up at Texas. But aside from the offensive line piece of it with Texas, says something that is going to help Texas moving forward. Now, first of all, the roster was already in great shape as it was, and needless to say, they feel extremely confident in Arch Manning heading into this season to go along with some of the other returning guys that they had. But this spring portal cycle, they've added some pieces like Murad Watson, a freshman All-American at Syracuse last year along the defensive line, who is one of our top-ranked spring portal entries. There were several other players like Jack Endries at tight end, who was the leading receiver for Cal last year. Add him this cycle to go along with that. Add a kicker who was one of the better kickers to enter the portal this cycle. So they had to go along with what I was talking about with adding a veteran quarterback to that QB room as part of the checklist. Some other things on that spring portal checklist that they felt like were important to check off, and they've done a good job checking all that stuff off. One thing that was missing a little bit was just adding more, to get back to what you said, Greg, along the offensive line. But aside from that roster is in excellent shape heading into the year, and as long as Arch has the kind of year that I think we were all expecting him to have, this should be another season that Texas is right in the thick of things as far as playoff race and potential national championship contender and all of that.
Matt Zenitz, 24/7, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. So even with Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, Deuce Knight, you believe Auburn was in the market to add another quarterback as recently as last week?
Yep. And I mean, I'll give you the specific team that I was referencing to go along with that. So the other playoff team that I was talking about in addition to Texas was Ohio State. So they're, even aside from teams looking to find the best option that they can as a starter for teams that are in need of that or have questions as far as their starting quarterback, obviously it's important to have a backup option that you can have confidence in, and Auburn was definitely another team involved to go along with once again Ohio State. And then without knowing specifically who this was, it was brought up yesterday that there were some other schools that also tried to get involved late there. So there was clearly a market for him, maybe more so than people would have been expecting for someone who opened last year as Troy's backup.
I know that May is usually kind of a slow month, and it feels like teams are kind of putting the finishing pieces of their roster together before the players get back here in a couple weeks. Do we anticipate any late surges right now with some of the guys that are still in the portal, or is it safe to assume that the dust is for the most part settled amongst the star players that could find a new home?
So a couple of the top remaining free agents ended up making decisions yesterday. So actually heading into 10 o'clock Eastern time last night, our top two ranked remaining players in the portal were A.J. Halsey, a safety who had left Houston, was a first-team All Big 12 player for them last year, and then a tight end, Keon Burnett, who had left Arizona this offseason, going back to December, and transferred to Kansas before re-entering the portal. And then ultimately, AJ makes a decision last night to transfer to LSU, which he had arrived there for a visit yesterday. So it becomes the 12th four-star transfer that Brian Kelly and LSU have added this offseason, and the 8th specifically on defense that they've added. And then Keon Burnett, after leaving Arizona in December, like I said, going to Kansas. Now, after leaving Kansas, is going back to Arizona and officially signed with them as of late last night.
Matt Zenitz joining us.
More and more, yeah. So a long-winded way of saying more and more you're seeing some of the top remaining free agents make their decisions and getting down to guys that fall more in the category of being depth-type pieces and not necessarily needle-mover type names.
How much are these quarterbacks getting to go be backups? We saw this. What was the kid from Kentucky that went to Ohio State a couple of years ago? I can't remember his last name right now, but he went to Ohio State and it was like, you're not going to be the starter. It was known he wasn't going to be the starter. How much are a guy like this that we're talking about, Matt, who's going to go back up an Arch Manning, a DJ Lagway, a Lenore Sellers, a Garrett Nussmeier, and I know some of those are already done. I'm not saying to those schools, but just in general, like how much are guys getting to go be a backup quarterback at a Power 5 school?
It depends on the school. With Caldwell, it's interesting because actually under the impression I really didn't get anything to go to Texas aside from just being on scholarship there. But that's not the case with other situations similar to that. I will say the market as a whole was
hold on a second. Hold on. Bo Allen is the guy I was thinking of. You're telling me this kid gave up a starting job at Troy to go be the backup at Texas for no NIL money?
Yeah, that was the way it came across yesterday, but is going to be on scholarship there.
Well, I'm assuming he was on scholarship at Troy and starting, but okay. I mean, you got to understand that's mind-boggling for us. Like that's just my brain can't process that.
Hey, trust me when I say I was surprised when that came up also, especially considering just some of the numbers that heard this cycle for players that aren't exactly star players or anything like that. The market has reached a crazy point before the House settlement gets approved and it shifts to more fair market value. So when you hear about, and I'll avoid throwing anybody's individual name out there, but when you hear about defensive players who are good but are more like fringe day 2 type guys, the 3rd round type NFL draft prospects getting $2.6 million, players that leaving schools where they were backups to go somewhere else getting close to $500,000, it makes it more surprising when something like that came up yesterday. So we were on the same page in terms of that.
It's crazy
for what it's worth.
Well, we could go on for a while. Just say this quickly as we're running out of time. Alabama and Auburn, do you feel like that there's still work to be done as far as additions that those two teams would like to add to their roster?
I haven't really had a ton come up recently with those two. Alabama, a huge priority for them heading into the spring portal cycle was finding a tight end, specifically a tight end that would contribute in the running game, more of a run blocker type guy, and they ended up adding 2 pieces at tight end through the portal. That was clearly, just based on conversations I had, the biggest priority for them heading into the cycle. And obviously Auburn added some pieces also, but they with remaining free agents haven't come up a ton recently on my end.
Matt, thanks for the time, man. Awesome stuff. Great insight. We really appreciate it. Like I said, we could go for an hour, but we'll have you back soon. Thanks for the time today.
That sounds good, guys. Appreciate you.
Matt Zenitz talking transfer portal. We'll be back with more in reaction to what he just told us next on Jocks 94.5. 8:50 Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, right here on Jocks 94.5. Will you get Mexican food today?
Probably not, but I would never be opposed. I've also never opposed to going shopping to Bill Smith Buick GMC. It's the GMC Dealer of the Year for a reason. They're the very best. Take the short drive to Coleman and see what I'm talking about. You'll understand why they won Dealer of the Year 5 straight years. That's 5 straight national championships. It's because their costs are low, their overhead's low, and they can get you better deals because they have more inventory on the lot. Just take the short drive up there. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's absolutely amazing. I've loved every single time I've shopped at Bill Smith Buick GMC. You can go get a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT 4x4. This is loaded with leather. Absolutely beautiful vehicle. $14,000 off the sticker. You get it just for over $52,000. Other places you're paying well north of $66,000. You get it there at $52,340. So take the short drive to Coleman. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, John, Mexican food today? Social
Hopefully, but
taco
probably
or
not.
somewhere else? Damien? No, he says no.
No, maybe wait till Taco Tuesday. No one knows.
This is what happens for us. It'll end up being takeout later tonight.
Mexican?
You can't go to the place like and sit. It's just it's mayhem.
Well, just chips on the ground. Too messy.
Yes, because chips on the ground is what keeps me out of places with 3 kids under 11.
That's what I mean. Your kids are the ones that are making the mess.
No, I just said you can't take 3 kids on a day like today and wait for 45 minutes. All right, we'll be back with more after this. All right, when we come back on the other side, name recognition as far as star power with college coaches. Where is it compared to maybe the last decade? And are we on the uptick now that we had a couple of massive names decide to walk away? There's no Meyer anymore. There's no Saban anymore. A couple guys have stepped out, yet it looks like the future could still be bright. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, what it's going to pertain to. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 205-834-9450. You can text into the show, tweet in at Mac and Cube. And don't forget, you can watch live every morning on YouTube. Search Jocks945. Listen online, jocksfm.com. The app's in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can always download that for free. Other players that we think could reach levels of stardom and be one of the stars of college football that maybe we haven't talked about just yet. All that and more when we come back as we continue the college football conversation next right here on Jocks 94.5. Nine o'clock, hour number 3 underway. Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We have talked star power. Tommy Wyndham tweeting in at Mac and Cube. He wasn't going to start at Troy either. Okay. But he is now on the team at Texas. What would it have taken for you to give up this will be hypothetical, let's say that, because Bo Allen did have a chance to start at Kentucky. He was going to battle for the job, and he goes to Ohio State to be the backup. This has happened multiple places.
Right.
If you're playing at a lower level of college football, Power 5 or down even further, to give up a starting job to go somewhere else to be a backup. And specifically a backup at a position like quarterback, where it's not like that's D tackle where you can roll in every now and then, or linebacker where you can be on kick cover, kick return, punt cover, punt return, and maybe get some reps, of course, across the course of a game. You're in some kind of sub package.
Right.
Safety where, okay, in dime he plays a little bit and he can be on punt return and kick return. I mean, there's chances you never get in the game.
There are. But I also think that I don't think this is the case for everybody. There's a lot of people that don't want to play. Like, I really do. I think there's a lot of people that don't want to play. You really don't think that's possible?
I see where you're going with it, and I think today,
dangerous game, doesn't want to get hit.
Well, there's just there are more people that enjoy the peripheral additives of college football than they do actually being in pad and playing in the games.
Right.
Which I can't fathom, but I do see, I mean, I will say it's fair to look at the all-encompassing aspect of it now, like everything that comes with it. It's kind of off the charts compared to when we played. It's just a lot. You get a lot more. There's a lot more that goes along with being a college football player now, including a check for a lot of people, which is very different than us. But I still can't fathom, like, listen, we weren't a top 25 team every year. The powerhouse teams when I was playing, if Ohio State or Michigan would have called and said, hey, we'd love for you to come be our backup center. For nothing. But yeah, come on down. No, would have been the answer. Nope. But we got guys doing it. We got guys saying, I will give this up to go be the backup. Now, I guess Goose Crowder is going to be the starting quarterback. Started the season last year, but Matthew Caldwell played in 10 games.
Yeah.
In the last, from South Alabama on, 6 games, he was just under 200 attempts, and he was at about 120 completions and minus a touchdown and a pick. That would have been 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. Went for 300 once. I say he's got, I don't know. It just, if you were told you weren't going to be the starter and you weren't the guy,
yeah,
then I get it. And you're trading that for a backup spot at Texas, like that's a massive upgrade.
Well, if I'm going to be a backup somewhere, and I might, maybe he doesn't like Troy. I don't know. Like, maybe he doesn't enjoy the town. Like, I get it. I do. I mean, some people want to play college football, but some people also want to have a good college experience. And like, Austin's a great place. Maybe he wants to maybe he puts a premium on that. Maybe he puts value on that. I don't know. I think that there are some guys that don't love playing enough to go and grind. Being a starter is hard. Like, being a starter is really hard. Like, just admit it, especially a quarterback. Like, you are grinding and you're putting in more time than anybody, and you're subject to getting your tail knocked off on a team that wins 2 games. That wouldn't be very fun. Like, going and being a backup quarterback, helping the starter, being one play away, preparing like a starter, but not necessarily getting my teeth kicked in. If I do play, I'm at least surrounded by good players, and I'm, going to probably make the playoff. Doesn't sound like the worst thing. And I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm getting a great degree. A degree that will give me a lot of advantages in life here starting in 5 years. And I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I get it, but you're also living on cruise control. Like, you're not you stay there, even though, let's say, Goose Crowder is going to be the guy, because of what you've done in that system and the playing time that you have, you can go compete for it. And again, I don't know the entire situation. Maybe he was told, get out. But I'm not specifically just referencing him, Matthew Caldwell, because I've given you some other examples that guys have said, yeah, I'll go be the backup here.
Yeah.
and going up a level to be the backup quarterbacks. And I think the thing that surprised me the most about it was, and maybe if you went further down this rabbit hole and it was decided that he wasn't getting NIL money at Troy and was definitively not going to be the starter there, you say, you know what, I'll take my scholarship at Texas and I'll hang out Austin. I'll go the F1 race and do all the other cool Austin city limits and South by Southwest. And it's just going to be a great time. There's nothing better than going through life on cruise control. That sounds amazing.
Look at this generation. I hate to break it to you. A lot of people are pretty content being in cruise control.
Yeah, but I just from being
doing the bare minimum.
From being a competitive athlete perspective, you would just imagine, okay, like I'm just using Samford as an example. Like Coach Hatcher told us he has his quarterback, but could you have gone to a Samford or a Tennessee Chattanooga or a Louisiana Lafayette or a Georgia Southern or a Georgia State or an App State to compete for the starting job?
Well, I don't
compete and maybe play and start.
I think you
also,
could.
if you're not getting NIL money, then what does it matter if you go to Grambling or if you go to a school that doesn't have NIL money and you say, fine,
because football's
I'll go to
not
Glenville State.
Because football's not everything for some guys.
Then
like
don't
I
play it.
I had a buddy, for example, that he was a Division I scholarship guy. His scholarships at the time were like SMU. And granted, remember, this was 20 years ago. So SMU, not a great team, not a great program. He had some other small ones, Tulsa. He had, of course, had a couple of FCS, Stephen F. Austins. And he said, I'd rather just go and join a fraternity and go to Texas Tech. I think that's what he ended up doing.
Great.
And he had a great experience. So, if you don't love it, it's fun to be on the team still. Like, it's hard to quit football. But
also, think about what Sark's bringing into his facility. If this is the case, we don't know. Or any of these guys are bringing in. You want to bring in somebody that doesn't love it? Or
yeah, but are you really bringing in a cancer at quarterback?
No, because nobody talks to you guys.
I mean, also, something tells me he's not going to go in and go scorched earth and start trying to undermine Arch. And it's like
he's running the meetings.
Yeah. Oh, this Arch guy, they brought me in for a reason.
You don't think he's going there pulling a Cam Ward, texting everybody the first morning they better be on the practice field to throw?
Just operating under the assumption that it's pretty well established that Arch is probably going to be the starter. I don't know, and I think that there could be a benefit. I'm getting developed by Steve Sarkisian at quarterback.
Are you?
But I'm getting better.
30% of the reps, and you're not playing in games. Are you getting developed?
Do you think you're getting better coaching at Texas or at Troy?
Are you playing or not playing?
You can get reps.
Are you competing or not competing?
You can get reps.
I'd be willing to bet if he stayed, he gets more reps at Troy than Texas. Because I bet Sark's got another guy he's kind of trying to get ready down the road.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to get some of the reps.
But if he structures his practice anything like they structured the practice at Alabama, then the backups and threes are getting tons of reps.
What were the percentage of reps that your second and 13 quarterbacks got?
40% to my 60. Not ones, but twos versus twos.
In practice.
Yeah, but I don't even care against who. I just mean the number of reps, because it was cool for us how it went, because when it was Terry Bowden and Jimbo Fisher, everything was 50-50. So we would go run play. Like we went up and ran counter, or we were in 344, or we were in 19, and the ones would run it, the twos would run it. The ones would run it, the twos would run it. And it actually did the twos a disservice, because you watched the one. I can see originally why you wanted to do that. Is you got to see how it was supposed to be done, supposedly, that's the way they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But then it began to work against you, because you're essentially cheating the system. So you know your assignment, you know what you're supposed to do, and it shouldn't be that way. Well, when Terry got fired and Bill Oliver took over, it was the first thing he told us in the team meeting is, well, he always ran his practices totally different anyway. This shows you how ass backwards it was when he was there and Terry was running the show. I'm not kidding, Greg. We would go 24 periods. The defense would go 13 periods and be done.
I don't know what the problem is.
We would look to the other practice field, and they're on a knee around the defensive coordinator, and we had 10 periods to go. They would go inside and watch film.
What's the problem?
Probably not a lot of guys wanted to be on offense right now.
You were the one trying to leave the offense.
Coach Oliver,
that.
Do you have a spot for me? Oh, third rotational guy? I'll take it. But Coach Oliver then takes over. God rest his soul. We miss him. But he said, ones, you're getting a lot more reps. Get ready. He said, now, good news for you is our practices are not going to be near as long. We don't need these marathon practices.
Yeah.
We need to go out and do the things we need to do to prepare for the game. And the ones are going to get 70, 80% of the reps. Why? Because you're going to play 70, 80% of the reps in the game. Twos, sorry, hate it for you. You're getting 20, 30% of the reps.
See ya.
Why? You play 20, 30% of reps of the game. When you move up to be a one, guess what you get? 70, 80% of the reps. And you sit back and as a college kid and you're like, that feels really easy. Like that math computes. But that feels like it works.
Yeah.
So I know it's handled differently by different people, but I mean, if you're going to essentially know you're the backup, are you being developed? Are you really getting better? Are you getting individual coaching? Like, yeah, you're in the meetings. You're listening to what Sark says and how he coaches. I'm not saying Sark's just not going to coach his kid at all, but it's just there's an amount of time that can realistically be doled out to a guy that's most likely not going to play.
Okay, but let me give you another example, right? Gardner Minshew. Or Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, he was going to come to Alabama to be a GA, basically.
Because he wanted to be a coach.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to coach. And am I better served battling here at East Carolina to potentially start, or am I better served going to Alabama where I can learn from Nick Saban, I can learn from some of the best guys, I can be around and see that culture, I can see how practice is structured, and that'll be more advantageous down the road. Like, are you better off being the starter at Troy, or a guy that played in quotations, played at Alabama if you're trying to make a name for yourself in coaching? The reality is, at Alabama with Nick Saban as an endorsement, you're better off there. I'm not saying that this is what this young man wants to do. I have no idea. I'm just saying that there are always external factors that could factor into the decision. And frankly, I understand it. You want my opinion? I would have really struggled to play at a small school. It's not because of anything other than just once you've had a taste of Texas high school football and there's 47,000 people in the crowd and it's like intense as can be, to go and play in the UFL would have been really freaking hard for me in front of, 2,300 of my closest friends. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been hard for me. So, like, maybe this young man has a different college story or a high school story where it's like he got spoiled and had, got this incredible experience in high school and had tons of fan support and the community was all in. And then you go to a Troy game and there's not that many folks there because he's struggling. I don't know. I can't speak to that. Everyone's a little bit different. And I know how it would have impacted me now. Would I've ultimately gone where I could have played? Yes, of course. Because I love the game too much. I love competing too much, but it would have been hard for me.
All right,
100%.
So Alex Page, who is a Troy graduate, I believe, tweets into the show, supposedly Caldwell and foreign Troy coaches, he would be paid to sit. So I found it interesting, just as Cole did, that Matt Zenitz said he was not getting NIL money to transfer those who expressed interest in him. And again, I don't think Matt definitively said, yes, I have hardcore evidence that this is the case, but he said all indications were that was the direction it looked like this was going, which was overly surprising to me. Now, if you're walking into, once again, if you're not definitively the starter, even if the other kid's been named the starter, you've been told he's most likely going to start and you got to go compete for it, and you're walking in with your chest puffed out talking about how much money you're going to get to be a backup, you get the boot. You kick every rock on your way out. All the rocks.
See ya.
Kick them. You can have them. Sark is your problem now.
Yeah.
If that's the case, we don't know. I don't know what the situation exactly is. So
I just feel like it's hard to be judgmental when we don't always know the circumstances of why a guy would leave to go elsewhere. Maybe that's a philosophical difference with what the coach is trying to tell him and say, hey, we're probably going to run you more this year. We're thinking quarterback run's going to be a big part of our offense. And maybe you just don't feel comfortable doing that. Maybe that's not your skill set. Maybe that's not what you want. Hey, even if you are the starter, we need a guy that's more mobile. We're going to put that guy in every third series just to give the defense a different look. Like, you just never know what the conversations are behind closed doors. And
6'4", 212 from Auburn, Alabama.
Oh.
That's his size.
Correct.
Okay.
Royal Payne adds another angle to this. Another angle could be to the Troy to Texas transfer. His degree being from Texas versus Troy might make a difference depending on his major. I think he's in his 5th year, so maybe he made a long-term decision by playing more. No, this was his first year of college football last year. I mean, I didn't want to necessarily go down this path of just him because we do have other examples of this.
Of course.
Guys that have said, oh, I'll go back up there because I'm getting 30,000, 52,000 as opposed to nothing or 10,000 or 5,000, whatever it is. So, and I'm not saying that it's not great money, but it does, in my opinion, completely yank you backwards as far as the big picture is concerned.
As far as playing, you mean?
As far as the big picture of life, all of it, how much money could be at the end of the road.
Yeah.
What are the end all be alls of you competing and maybe finding a way to be great and just pulling a Brock Purdy and being taken in the 7th, and then all of a sudden you're starting for a team that's on its way to the Super Bowl. Like,
Right.
I'll just go sit because it's a little bit more money right now. Like that's hard to kind of fathom. And if I'm not mistaken, Bo Allen came back to Kentucky. So it's like you went down your ass and that wasn't cool, and then you wanted to come back. I hope you enjoyed your check. I mean, that's going to be a tough one for me to swallow. It is. And there's going to be two sides of this. The people who are the compete, drive, make yourself better, go after things. And then there's going to be the financial side. And I know those people are listening right now.
And there's also some people that are just seeking contentment. And like, he might enjoy Austin more than Troy. Like, guess what? This is not a negative towards Troy whatsoever.
It's not, but also
as a kid from Dallas-Fort Worth, would have been more comfortable in Austin than I would have been in Troy.
But think about where we're headed in college football, Greg. Those spots are going to become more rare.
What?
On a team in college football.
Oh, you mean a roster spot?
Correct.
Yeah. So
listen, don't get it wrong. I could throw the names out right now. We had 4 or 5 of the guys you're talking about that you could tell could care less if they ever got in the game.
No, didn't even care.
They wore the warm-ups to class and T-shirts that were given out by Russell to the class all the time and never put in the extra work. Weren't a problem. Didn't cause issues. Nice guys, but just they weren't trying to be players. And I don't know if that meant it didn't mean as much to them, or maybe they just came to the reality of physically it's not going to really happen for them. I don't know. But
yeah. There's also that kind of like defense mechanism. Like, I mean, maybe they deep down know they're probably not good enough. Let's be real. All the guys that didn't really want to play weren't very good. Hate to break it to you.
We had one or we didn't
have any
two
stone killers.
We had one or, well, mentally they weren't, but we had 1 or 2 physically that were gifted and could have made a lot of money playing in the NFL. But it's just wasn't super important.
Yeah.
And like you said, other things or other places just kind of more important. So they'd rather do that. And that's great. But I didn't want to zero in on Matthew Caldwell. I just wanted to use the example of we've seen this multiple times now of guys saying ability to compete for a spot. No, thank you. Definitively go be backup somewhere else. Now, usually we suspect that there's a little bit of money tied to that wasn't tied to it at the other place, which is even more like, I don't think Ohio State was overspending for Bo Allen compared to what Kentucky could give him. Maybe they were. Maybe Ohio State just was like Scrooge McDuck and money was falling out of their pockets. And they're just like, come on, we'll give you $100,000 and we know you ain't going to play him, but like, come be on our team. I don't know.
Maybe he just wants a helmet for the collection.
Sweet. Maybe you want an Ohio State tattoo or already had one. Said, this is how I can make that make sense. Maybe he just wanted to give Crocker Moving Service some business.
They're a local company owned by Iraq War veteran Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. They need your whole home packed up and moved. Your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchase and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website is crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, we'll continue this conversation and more on college football when we come back on Jocks 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 9:23, Monday, May 5th. Jocks 94.5. Twitter feed at Mac and Cube. You can be a part of the show there. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Alex Page tweets in the show, what's the Texas quarterback depth chart currently look like behind Archie before Caldwell gets on campus? If Archie's playing, they got a lot more problems than Matthew Caldwell coming in because the mobility is going to be an issue.
Well, Archie had mobility in the day,
but now not so much. I don't think he's moving really well. Behind Arch, I think this is why Matt Zenitz told us that there's such an emphasis on this. You have Trey Owens, a redshirt freshman, and Carl Lacey, a true freshman, and Joe Tatum, a redshirt junior. So, yeah, I hadn't seen the tape on any of those guys. I don't know. Probably wanted a vet that they felt like had been around it, could handle it. But this is a kid I only have 1 year of college football for him. So I don't know. It's just, one of the reasons I want to talk about it is it felt like an odd move. And then some of the things now that seem like they're behind it make it even more of an odd move, to be honest with you. But Sark will not have the luxury, Greg, it doesn't look like that he had last year, of a lot of confidence in the next guy right away.
Yeah. I think that's going to be really interesting to see how they manage Arch. I mean, because if Arch goes down or if Arch gets banged up, and how many years in a row now has Texas lost a quarterback?
Yeah. You're not a playoff contender anymore in a lot of people's eyes.
I mean,
and last year I think people would have said, no, he'll be able to keep it together.
I think Arch could have. I think people remember a little differently. Like Arch had some young moments last year. Doesn't mean he can't find a little more there for sure. But I will be really curious to see God forbid, I would not want this to happen. Obviously, it'd be terrible. But it would be really devastating if for whatever reason he can't go and play in every moment of every important game. Every meaningful snap this year needs to be played by Arch. I think anything less than that, Texas is in legitimate trouble.
I think most people would be on board with that, and most people would agree with you. Jolly tweets into the show, has college football become such a business that it's where we're at? I'll take whatever position you give me if it's the best deal I can get. Don't even care if I start a minute, especially for the players who are not headed to the NFL. For some, yeah. For some, that's it, Jolly.
No question.
But then we hear other stories about guys that had opportunities to leave, had opportunities to go other places, and they don't take them, and they stay where they are. And it's a plus for different reasons because they either wanted to continue to be around their teammates, they wanted to be around their coaches. I think one really good example of this is the kid that Charles Grant, the tackle that the Raiders drafted out of William and Mary. I think he played 1 year high school football, developmental player, but he had multiple offers to leave with money tied to it and just said, no, I don't. It's just not what it's going to be. We hear stories about this almost every week, Greg.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, he had a bunch of schools coming after him. And some guys just like this goes back to geography, school, location, girlfriend, family. There's a lot of things involved.
So many.
But there are those transactional players, Jolly, that are just looking for the biggest check. And usually it's the wrong people behind the scenes that are pulling the strings.
Yeah.
The agent is shopping them before they have given the green light to go somewhere else. And then the check is on the table and they essentially have to go in the portal because that money's there. I spoke to a college assistant coach over the weekend when I was traveling. And I asked him, he coaches on the defensive side of the football. He's on a team they've traded about 7 or 8 guys out in the portal this past offseason. And I said, he told me the story about one DB that basically came in, and it was the same story that we heard from Chad Baker-Mazzara. Already had a pretty good deal in place, saw another kid's deal who he was not on the same level as, and said, I want that money. And everybody said, yeah, shrugged their shoulders and said, it's not there. Like, that's great that guy got that money. We would love to have that guy too, and we'd probably give that guy that money. But you're not that guy. And he walked. Both people I'm referencing to here.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I'd really be interested to know the number of guys. We'll never know for sure, but just like your best guess on the guys that, like, I understand there Like Caleb Downs. He probably knew what he could get. He decided he wanted to contend for a title, didn't want to go through the coaching chains, have relationships. He's like, I'm going to go to Ohio State. Okay, cool. Like the ones that are pretty much you leave, you end up somewhere else. Like there's probably not a lot of back and forth of like 50,000, 80,000, 120,000, 20,000. Like it's, you know, what's out there and you know the destination. I said, I'd love to know the number of these kids that are coming in, banging their chests about getting more money when they're not really that dude. They get less at the next place. And he said 80%. Easy. Because I told him, I bet it's more than half. And he goes, it's a lot more than half. The ones that are coming in there pounding the table saying, if I don't get this, or this other guy over here is getting this, that means I need this. He said, because a lot of coaches are telling them, go get it. Because they know it's not out there. They know it's not real. Now, are there occasions that certain schools overpay for certain guys and that's kind of what happens? Yeah, of course.
Of course.
But the coaches I've talked to say the majority of those guys that are walking in, like we've had one person say allegedly happened with Matthew Caldwell that he's like, I will be paid to be the backup, which just in and of itself sounds like a completely egregious thought process. Think about what you're saying. I will be paid to not play. Where do those meet? Like, give me the Atlas roadmap that's going to lead you to that conclusion.
Well, how many people have said the best job in sports is the backup quarterback in the NFL?
How many backup quarterbacks in the NFL are going in demanding more money in the offseason to continue to be the backup quarterback? Nah. Like you said, they're happy with that job.
Yeah.
And they know good and well they'll find another backup from somewhere else to come in and not play.
You don't mess with Happy?
No. So, yes, there are those transactional guys. And I actually think it's good news that most of the kids that are going in there overplaying their hands that are allowed to or asked, and that's the part that we don't hear because these coaches don't want us to know that. They're asking them to leave or telling them to leave. I'll tell you what would be best is if you'll go right down the hall and grab your stuff and just keep walking. Or here's the website for the portal. Thanks for coming in. See you next time.
See ya.
We'll continue talking some college football on the other side. You have to wait for that, though. One thing you never have to wait for, Greg, is your dental care.
That's because Famicare Dental has you taken care of at the urgent care office where you can be seen the same day. Several locations to make it easy on you in Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and now open in Trustful. Famicare Dental can get you in on Fridays and Saturdays. They can get you in today, whether it's urgent care or if you need immediate help. They can see you the same day. Most insurance plans are accepted, and they are accepting patients of all ages. So call them today at Family Care Dental, 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
All right, we'll roll over to college coaches since they've been a topic of conversation here. Star power with college coaches. Where is it now? Where could it go? Next, Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy, Cubelic in the morning. We'll talk coaching star power in just a moment. Alex Page tweets in, based on the lack of experience behind Arch, are you surprised? Archie again, it's Arch. Are you surprised Tennessee wasn't among the schools who expressed interest in Caldwell? I think if you're Tennessee, you're probably feeling very fortunate that you landed a kid in Joey Aguilar who in his college career has 700 career passes attempted? And you don't want to rock that boat.
Yeah. You stick with it.
You're kind of like, hey, this is going to be our guy. Last thing we want him to do is find a way out and not be here with us. And we'll just we'll make it work. By the way, he has 850 collegiate pass attempts in 2 years. Now, the surprise part of this may be that Aguilar does have, I don't know what to say. He's played 2 years. So how many years does he have left? 7?
Somewhere around there, give or take.
It's so hard to figure out. I've done trying to figure out eligibility.
You can't figure it out. We can probably try to figure out, though, the level of star power with college coaches right now. So if we go back a couple of years, and we've got Mac Brown, we've got Nick Saban, and we've got, you could even throw in Jimbo Fisher, who had a national championship, and we've got a guy in Urban Meyer that won multiple titles. Felt like it was up there. Jim Harbaugh was there, who had started at quarterback in the NFL, coached in the NFL, got a team to the Super Bowl in the NFL. Like, the star power was big for the head coaching positions, Greg. Big.
Yes.
And it's taken a bit of a dip. Do you look at it moving forward, though, as sort of flatlined? As, yeah, we got Dabo, we got Kirby. I think everybody thinks Lanning is on the upswing and will be one of the stars of college coaching sometime soon. There's a few other maybes out there, but this is about what it is right now. Or do you look at it as, we'll just give them another 3 to 5 years and we'll be approaching where we were 5-6 years ago?
Well, I don't know. I just don't think the guys are going to be staying around as long anymore. So I think part of what makes people, quote, stars is their longevity. Like, I don't think anyone's necessarily saying Kirk Ferentz is a star, right? But how often do you think in this upcoming generation, do you think someone's going to be somewhere for 25 plus years? I mean, I think part of what makes you a legend is the fact that you've been there for so dang long. Like the eras of Bowden, Saban, Paterno, like these guys aren't going to coach until their 80s anymore. Like I think Nick Saban will be the first one to tell you that if he would have known life in retirement was going to be this good, he would have done it 5 years ago. Like, I mean, life in retirement is good for these guys. They make a ton of money. They don't, I mean, the grind of having to convince 18-year-olds to buy in every week, you can have that. I mean, I would far prefer getting it all up front and shutting it down real quick, because I don't know, man, this life that these guys are on, the rat race, if you will, doesn't sound very intriguing.
The longevity portion of it sounds tough. And maybe that's going to take away from our Steve Spurrier's, Bobby Bowden's moving forward. These legendary, iconic figures. And then also the movement, Greg. I mean, think about how different the movement is now as opposed to when I was playing. Even when you were playing wasn't near what it is now.
Right.
Not only guys just coaching for 20, 30 years, but staying at the same place for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Seems impossible now. Like what Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky, like Kirby's a little bit of a different deal. He played there, obviously, went to school there, but you look at Stoops at Kentucky, like another guy doing that, and I'm not talking about total wins, win percentage, championships. I'm just talking about being at that place for that long.
Right.
It just feels almost impossible now.
Well, think about how many guys have jumped the ship in an effort to restart the clock. And we've seen it maybe a little more in basketball. But the one that comes to mind most recently is Buzz Williams at A&M. Like the guy stays around just long enough to the point in which his seat starts to warm because he hasn't made the progress that's expected. Boom, I'll reset. I'll go to Maryland for another 6-year deal. Prior to that, it was at Virginia Tech. Prior to that, it was at Marquette. So it's like, guys, I mean, we saw it with an all-time great in John Calipari. All right, seat's starting to warm just a little bit. I'll reset the clock and go to Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I think that in football, we'll see that a little bit more and more as well, where guys maybe are sensing that things are starting to maybe become a little more difficult. Like if Mark Stoops, for example, if he were to get offered another job, I mean, that's starting to warm a little bit there. I'm not super happy. I don't think that maybe they haven't been quite as good these last couple of years. Do you think that there's a possibility that Mark Stoops wouldn't be open to taking another job if a good one was presented to him? Of course he would.
Pretty sure he did.
Yeah, exactly. Only to have a slight change of heart there at the end.
Yeah, which is fine. But I mean, he did accept a different job according to sources. So, yeah, he absolutely would because he kind of has. So, and what do we talk about often with all these coaches, whether it was Chip Kelly, whether it's Gus Malzahn, now what they're doing, restarting that clock, right? That's not a phrase that was around in 2000 or 2010 or seemingly in 2015. Like that feels like a last 3 or 4 years conversation that people are having, in that now these coaches, Greg, they don't want to. They feel like they have to do that, like have to go out and restart the clock, get going at a new place to where any of the ill will or bad blood or ugly losses are now gone, and we restart that again, and therefore the good fortune is back.
Right.
And you have the little bit more of a runway, you have a little bit more leeway, and you can go out and kind of get a fresh start on things moving forward. And that's kind of crazy that a lot of you guys feel like they have to do that, but they do.
Does.
So where are we right now?
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't blame them at all.
I think most people
Self-preservation.
from a business perspective understand that. Absolutely.
Totally.
So where are we right now? How would you grade? Let's just say 5 years ago, it was an A+.
Yeah.
Because you had Saban, you had Mac Brown, you had Jimbo, you had Urban Meyer. Was that 5 years ago we had Urban still? Go back to when we still had Urban
18.
coaching. Yeah. So that year, the previous year or two, had Les Miles at Kansas still. I mean, yeah, that's an A+. Where are we now on a grading scale? Not a PFF grading scale, like a real grading scale.
1.1.
One that people would understand. Where are we now with college coaching stardom, name recognition? That was an A+. Are we at a B+? Are we a C?
I still think we're in pretty good shape. And maybe I'm just too close to it. Like if I asked my wife right now, hey, name 10 college football coaches, I don't think she could do it.
Wow, I'm doing that today.
I don't think my mom could do it. I don't even think my dad could do it. But I bet
he could. Your dad could do it.
Maybe.
I guarantee he could.
All right. Yeah, he probably could. But I don't know if he could do 20.
That's probably a bit of a stretch.
I mean, that's a lot.
With the movement to the guys to the NFL, the guys that have retired.
And he's a fan. I mean, he likes the sport.
Yeah.
So I think but he also just, kind of likes the Tide and, watches the big SEC games. Like he's kind of insulated. He could probably tell you all
his Hawaii games.
Yeah. The Hawaii games, probably not as much anymore now that he's living on the East Coast.
I bet he knows their codes though.
Might not actually.
Oh, come on. It's a name recognition.
Too far removed.
I would think he would probably know Timmy Chang. I'd hope, but I don't know that for sure.
How many coaches do we think normal people walking down the street right now could name in college football? Like the guy that Greg just described as his father, maybe even minus having played college football. So mostly a fan of one team, dips their toe heavily into one conference, and then if other games are on, they will consume them. But it doesn't matter or mean a lot to them.
I would say under 10.
I think under 10 is a good number.
Yeah. If we asked someone random that doesn't work in it, but does watch, I'm not sure that they can name more than 10 coaches right now.
Like if you just showed them a picture of a coach,
that wouldn't help for most of these guys.
Hey.
Who is the coach that they wouldn't know who they were based on just the credentials of being the head coach? Like if you showed somebody Mike Elko's picture walking down the street, they would think he was on a sitcom on ABC.
They wouldn't get it. I'll tell you, some of the ones that they would get would be weird, like Mike Gundy. Like they would get Mike Gundy,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah, because I'm a man.
That's another
40.
tenure though. But you think about that's not going to be done again.
No, not anymore. But if I showed you a picture of,
there's not many coaches out there that threaten to leave, and school says if you do,
this is going to happen.
I mean, how many people you think could pick out Jonathan Smith?
Oh, no.
No chance.
No.
I think he was like a PE teacher at a local high school.
The guys that the people will be able to pick out: Kirby Smart, Marcus Freeman, Lincoln Riley, Dabo Sweeney, Brian Kelly,
Sark.
And like I think Gundy would.
I got a good one for you. It's a maybe. I'm not saying definitively, but it's a big maybe, literally and figuratively. Brett Bielema.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
He's been around a long time.
And he's kind of crossed over into a little bit of the pop culture references occasionally, like in just personality wise. I feel like he's somebody maybe I guess the question is who's transcended over into more of the pop culture that people would know. And that's hard to sit there and think about because it doesn't feel like there's a ton of those guys.
Would you put Hugh Freeze?
No, but
Hugh Freeze is probably one that a lot of people would know.
Right.
That
I don't know. Like James Franklin, I would put on there.
James Franklin is on there. You're right. That's a good pull.
Yeah. Okay.
Hugh Freeze has been in a movie
so I'm at
that
8.
a lot of people have seen. So that's I think Freeze is actually one that has a good chance for a lot of people to know who he is.
Okay. We'll give him.
And he's
we'll
got
put him
scandal. It's scandal rolls into pop culture. Like people pay attention to that. Doesn't matter what sport. Like we pay attention to that.
What about Cristobal?
I would like to think that he would.
Dion. We just forgot Dion.
100%.
That's 10.
Yeah.
That's an easy
All right,
one.
so we're at 10.
I would like to think that Mario would. However, I don't think Mario himself has put himself out there like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that subtracts a lot of people that would maybe know who he is because he hasn't done anything dumb and he hadn't been in trouble. And he kind of like keeps to himself. I mean, one of the wildest things we've seen him do was that press conference on if players come in and ask for more money a couple weeks ago.
Right.
He's just not like out there like that.
No.
And he was nothing wrong with Oregon. He was kind of buried at Oregon for a few years when a lot of people weren't
We
really
haven't
paying
listed
attention.
Dan Lanning yet. Like if I put up a picture of Dan Lanning with just in a white t-shirt and you have to tell me, and I went up to a random person on the street, who is this person? I bet you most people wouldn't get it.
I don't think so.
Shane Beamer?
No.
The guy's a librarian, right? I mean, nothing against Shane. I'm just like, he's just like a normal guy. Like they're not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, the physical features do play a part of this. Like Bobby Bowden was a very distinguishable human being. Like the way that he appeared and looked, specifically when he had his hat on and the glasses, like you knew like what that guy looked like. Like Bear Bryant was a very distinguishable individual. I mean, there are certain guys that are like Ralph Friedgen was a very distinguishable individual.
Mark Mangino.
People know who he was.
Yeah.
But even like other Bill Parcells, like he's a very distinguishable person.
Yeah.
So I think your physical features a lot of times are going to help with that. But like like Dan Lanning looks like, I mean, he could be in a movie. He could be a college coach. He could be teaching, first priority down at the middle school. Like he kind of looks like, your average dude. Same with Shane Beamer.
Bill Belichick now.
Yeah.
No, Belichick's moving into that realm quickly. And coaching in the NFL in his era put you there.
Yeah.
Now it has gotten to leave me alone. I'm going to coach because I'm probably not going to be doing this very long. And then we're off and running. That's it. Like a lot of the coaches in the NFL right now, I don't feel like really care about their personality or being out there or being marketable. Like Belichick got in there at the time when he was like the only one that pushed back on being marketable. A lot of those guys, I mean, John Madden was doing Miller Lite commercials.
Yeah.
It's a different time. It's a different era.
You think?
But it's cool to think, like, I love that question about how many, I'm going to ask my wife when I get home.
Just name
Can you name 10 college coaches right now? And then I might call my dad and see if he can do it. But he's probably listening, so he'll cheat.
I really don't think a vast majority of the people could. And that's not a reflection of their intelligence or how much football they consume. It's just the movement's been hard to track. It's hard to track for us. And there's a lot of up and comers that.
But part of that point was, and you nailed it with Dion, because he is the ultimate of that guy. How many college coaches right now have 20%, 10%, a full broad jump, one baby step into pop culture? Not many.
Very few.
And like even Sark has for different reasons. I mean, he's been a coach in the NFL and he's been at USC in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good Lord, if people know who you are and you've been the head coach at those two schools, something's wrong.
Correct.
If something's wrong with you, go to Game Day Men's Health. Specifically, if you can't sleep, if you don't have energy, if you feel on edge, they can help you with this. You want to lose weight? They can help you with that. They have peptides in stock now that they can come up with a different mixture to help you out with either anti-aging, sleep, energy focus, a lot of different things there at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for a free consultation that gets you a free PSA test, a free testosterone test, and you're off and running. You'll see exactly where your health is, and then they'll present the different ways that they can help you out. Locker room environment, low stress, not going to try to push you into things that you don't want to do. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Just get the free consultation. Go in there, get the free PSA, free testosterone test, see where you are, and then see what they can do for you and save 10% on any service that they offer by mentoring Mac and Cube in the morning when you go in. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Back with more right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Monday, May 5th, 9:54 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5.
I'll be playing in the Drummond Company Celebrity Pro-Am on Wednesday, May 14th, and the lineup is stacked. Nick Saban, Charles Barkley, Nate Oates, Hugh Freeze, and country music star Riley Green all will be out there. And then on Thursday, May 15th, golf favorites like John Daly, Ernie Els, Stuart Sink will battle it out on the course. There's more than just golf. You can swing by the White Claw Watering Hole, the White Claw Wave Bar, the Maomi Wine Lounge, both open to the public, plus enjoy food trucks, the Coca-Cola Spectator Village, and a Saturday concert with the Monsters of Yacht right after play. It's all in support of Children's of Alabama, and It's a week you won't want to miss. Get your tickets now at regentstradition.com.
All right, so just talking star power with college coaches and kind of what's out there. Ryan Day came up during the break. I know he won a national championship. I know physically the features, the beard would kind of help with a lot of people, but I just don't think that he's on that level. I don't think that he's crossed over into pop culture to where, Greg, a lot of people would know exactly who that guy is. He's a head coach at Ohio State, and that helps.
Yeah, I think that helps. I don't know. I just don't have a good. We're so close to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'd always err on the side of people know less than we think they know. Like, I always would err on that side. So to me, not knowing Ryan Day
safe side to err on.
Crazy.
Like I told you earlier, people, I'm like, I got a game this weekend. Like, what's that league called again? Yeah, wow.
What league?
Yeah.
This league.
Also, John Hill tweeting in, you guys said Mario hasn't done anything wild. What about that Georgia Tech Miami game? You
had to catch that.
It's on ACC Network.
But that's not something that, like, do you think people who mostly care and consume pop culture care about what a coach does from a coaching decision perspective in a game? That's not real. That's not.
I can't believe he didn't take a knee.
Mario's red zone calls are awful. When are we watching Friends again?
Yeah. You guys see Taylor Swift last night?